This episode of Robservations is sponsored by The John Campea Show. Find The John Campea Show on YouTube or find the audio versions wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, my name is King, or as some of you might know me better, Israel. I've gotten around, but hopefully you recognize me from my own channel, King Tannic. There's a new show coming to the Burnettwork that I think is pretty exciting. Welcome to the Otaku Experience, hosted by yours truly. There is going to be a weekly series where we dive into the news and the world of anime, manga, and whatever the heck else Japan has to offer us. The show will be pre-recorded and premiere on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Pacific Time or 5 p.m. Eastern right here on the Burnettwork YouTube channel.
Greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, Robert Meyer Burnett. I invite you to watch and listen to the Designing Hollywood podcast, brought to you by Martika Ibarra and the great, legendary Hollywood costume designer, Marilyn Vance. I am afforded the wonderful opportunity of co-hosting the show. If you are interested in the magic of Hollywood, the design of Hollywood, the clothes of Hollywood, watch the Designing Hollywood podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts from, or find the video version on the John Campea YouTube channel. That's right, the Designing Hollywood podcast. Why would you ever want to miss it? Especially if you love the movies.
Observations with Robert Meyer Burnett.
Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, your viceroy of verisimilitude, your sommelier of sci-fi and cinema, your evangelist of the imagination, and the as-yet undefined existential Mr. Rogers. That's right, me, Robert Meyer Burnett, and I'm robcasting at you from here, the Robservatory. It's a Saturday night. This is Robservations episode 847, and I'm coming at you, you imagination connoisseurs, you members of this, the Post-Geek singularity community. This is a sequel show to last week's, not last night's, but last week's Midnight Musings, where I introduced, a couple that's going to be burning up the internet, and you're going to fall in love with them even more than I already have. That's right, Lana and Alan. And they together create Lana Yuen Reviews. Now, I gave you a taste. I showed you a show last week of their John Wick review, and everybody was, I got a lot of emails about it, DMs about it. People are like, where did you find them? And to be quite honest, they found me. But you know what? I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. So what we talked about was they wanted to come on the channel and start sharing their work. So today, I have them. We're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about how they make these great shows of theirs. And I wanted to show the very first review, the official first review that they have produced for this channel. And it is a review of The Evil Dead Rise. I'm going to play it for you right now. It's about 8.5 minutes. And then I'm going to introduce you once again to Lana and Alan. So let's just give them the floor.
Hi everyone, I'm Lana, and this is Lana Yuen Reviews, and today we are reviewing one of my most anticipated films of the year, Evil Dead Rise. While I tend to lean more into the fun and campy stylings of Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, I ended up appreciating the more serious tone of 2013's blood-soaked remake. And after seeing the trailer for Evil Dead Rise, it looked like much more of the same, but possibly a return of that fun, campy spirit I've missed so much. Evil Dead Rise stars Alyssa Sutherland as Ellie, her cool tatted mom turned deadite, Lily Sullivan as Aunt Beth, and Little Nell Fraser as Cassie. For this newest entry in the Dead series, we follow a mother of three being evicted from her apartment after a recent split from her husband. Her distant groupie sister decides to stop by when an unexpected earthquake occurs, unleashing a hidden evil under their building. And then it goes downhill from there. Like way downhill. So, does this film rise to the occasion, or is it dead on arrival? Let's find out. But before we do, this is a spoiler-filled review, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, well, I bloody warned you. Setting the bulk of this film in a derelict, low-income apartment complex was both visually interesting and allowed the film in its own unique setting. If I had to sit through another cabin in the woods scenario, I would have literally died. Combine this with wonderfully executed cinematography, moody lighting, and ear-splitting sound design,
Open up now.
and you've got the pieces in place for a roller coaster ride of carnage. The motherly narrative works surprisingly well. On one hand, you've got the cool, laid-back, loving mother of three, and on the other, this reckless, prodigal guitar tech who's just mortified by responsibility. It's a great setup with an eventually very satisfying payoff. I do, however, wish we could have gone a little bit deeper into the sister relationship, but it's an Evil Dead film, so let's get to the soul-sucking. The standout for me, hands down, was our main baddie, Ellie. Even without the makeup, she looks like she was born to play a demon mommy. And I mean that in the best way possible, just in case Alyssa's watching. When she leaps out of the bathtub and lets out that horrifying screech, you feel it in your bones. She brings a physicality to the role that we've never seen before. As expected, we get loads of little nods to other Evil Dead films. From the opener, the iconic shaky camera flying through the woods, to the lights behind the elevator buttons slowly filling up with blood, much like the light bulb from Evil Dead 2. Or the subtle change of the chainsaw's color from red to the yellow of Ash's Delta 88. And as fun as the violence can be, and it is very fun, I was actually surprised at how carefully they handled those slow, creepy moments. My favorite scene was when Danny discovers the absolute hell he has unleashed by slowly spinning the record on his turntable. It was possibly the longest moment of physical and psychological torture in the whole film, in the most brilliant way. What I found really interesting was after 5 movies and 1 really groovy TV series, Evil Dead Rise actually expands on the lore of the Evilverse. We don't just have 1 Book of the Dead, we have 3.
Nobody said anything about 3 books.
When Danny discovers this newest book, I actually had that feeling of childlike wonder. Like, what is this book? Did the Necronomicon always have teeth? Is this something completely new? I was totally transfixed. Now, the cover isn't as menacing as the Necronomicon, but it was still full of large graphic illustrations instead of those ancient writings. It sort of made it like a graphic novel, like a curses for kids. As a child of the late 80s, and I mean the very late 80s, I love to see that focus on practical effects. Every time I see a digitally added blood spurt or an overly designed CG monster, I die just a little bit inside. But Evil Dead Rise has animatronic talking heads, actors floating on strings, and green projectile vomit. The stuff that classic horror is made of. We love to see it. Cast-wise, I really didn't connect with, well, any of the characters. Everyone did a great job at acting scared, but across the board, they felt rather flat. Even Beth. I know it's god near impossible to find an actor who can match the charisma, not to mention the chin size of the iconic Bruce Campbell.
Groovy.
But you need a protagonist to like, and Beth was merely just kind of there. Until she grabs the chainsaw in the final showdown and says, "Come get some." Then apparently she's Bruce Campbell. I literally thought she was possessed. It threw me off completely. I was very confused. I was surprised that they chose to kill off the 2 older kids and turn them into deadites, and pretty good ones too. So I give them some credit for that. But at that point, you only have the youngest kid and the final girl, which meant the danger was basically over, way before we got to the last act. I also had mixed feelings on the final boss, the amalgamation of all the deadites together. Like the thing with its many arms and legs, it was pretty fucking freaky, and I liked that as a concept, but on the other hand, it was such a convenient way of disposing of the overwhelming threat against Beth and Cassie. Like, the movie was just getting good. They were finally overwhelmed by all these demons. How are we gonna handle this? Oh, you know what? Let's just stick them all together and throw them in the wood chipper. Done. As much as I enjoyed the Deadites, they seem to be missing that extra and very crucial ingredient, that unadulterated crass that makes them, well, Deadites. In the original films, the Deadites weren't just creepy, ghoul-like, bloodthirsty zombies. They were fun-loving sadists. They just relished torturing Ash both physically and psychologically. They were so delighted by their own maliciousness, they would laugh maniacally in between hurling curses at him. Where's the fun? Where's my talking deer head and my laughing lamp? I love that shit. I also found the foreshadowing of the kills way too telegraphed. Stephanie, the vampire steak doll, the conveniently operational wood chipper in the parking garage. Like, why is that even there? The close-up shot of the scissors underneath the couch. I mean, look, it's fine that they set up for the eventual payoff, but those items are just so blatantly for killing. It was a literal vampire steak, sharpened to a point. One of my biggest personal disappointments was the cheese grater sequence. I was so excited for it. I saw it in the trailer. I thought, sick. sick. That's gonna make so many cool skin ribbons. Like imagine the gore, imagine the effects. I was excited. Maybe too excited. It excited me. But in the actual film, Beth gets tapped on the leg by the cheese grater, which lifts to reveal tiny scratches. Nothing. And then they go back to stabbing. It was like that. I was so disappointed. It was such a good idea, and yet, like so many moments in Evil Dead Rise, they just didn't take it far enough. With this more serious tone, those few attempts at humor just seemed off to me. The original director, Sam Raimi, is a master at balancing humor and horror. He can flip a switch from terror to screwball in a snap. But when Deadite Mommy bites out the neighbor's eye and then projectile spits it into someone else's mouth, it's an obvious callback to the original Evil Dead, but up until this point, the film was playing things pretty non-campy. It was fun, but it didn't fit that somber escalation up to that point. So now that we've established that Evil Dead can be just as gory and sinister in a setting besides a cabin in the woods, let's talk about that ending. It took me 2 days to realize the girl possessed in the very end is the same girl possessed in the very beginning. 2 days. And you know where that revelation led me? To the realization that if the next film picks up where this one left off, you know where we are? We're back at the motherfucking cabin. And why? Take, for example, the hysterical adventure that is Ash versus the Evil Dead series. Ash is driving across the country, killing Deadites, fighting alongside Xena Warrior Princess, and saving the world again and again. It's fucking glorious. It's Evil Dead through and through, and they never step foot inside a log cabin. Let this be the film that takes evil to the world. Overall, while this is not my favorite of the Evil Dead franchise, it's absolutely worth a watch for any horror fan looking for a bloody good time. This really ratchets up the gore and the violence and the intensity that we've been missing in modern horror flicks over the past couple years. Maybe since the last Evil Dead remake? I mean, I for one enjoyed it, but not necessarily as an Evil Dead movie, just sort of on its own. It was creepy, it was slow, it was somber, it was very dramatic, and those long holds were really cool. It's not something you see in Evil Dead, and unfortunately wasn't as funny either. But it was good. So, what did you think of Evil Dead Rise? Will you be taking your mom out to see it this Mother's Day? Do you think that the next film will pick up right where this one left off? Where do you think that'll be? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, shop smart. Shop S-Mart. You got that? Are we rolling right now? Stars Alyssa Sutherland. So, does this... The cheese grater. Obviously, there's a B in that word, did you know that? Takes the eyeball out of the neighbor's head and... Give me some sugar, baby.
So you can see, I think, why I wanted to bring these reviews onto the channel. To me, this is the exact kind of quality content that I've been looking for. You know, I have this dream. The reason I call this channel the Burnettwork is because I wanted to make it a network full of programming of all different kinds of people. And you know that I'm going to be starting a panel show on May 15th called The Imagination Connoisseur Show. And there's going to be Whining About Movies is coming back, and there's a number of different shows I'm going to be doing. But in between all of those shows, I wanted to have new, interesting, fun content. And I thought what Lana and her husband Alan do is exactly what I was looking for. And what they're going to specialize in is delving into older exploitation, horror, crazy, strange, just things that you might not have seen, you might have only heard of. It's going to be really exciting. And to tell you about what they're going to do and what we're all going to do together, please welcome back to the channel, back to Robservations, Lana herself and Alan, her husband. Welcome, you two crazy kids.
Hello. Good to be back. How's everyone doing?
You know, I got to say, I have a connection. I worked on Army of Darkness, which we talked a little bit about, and it was so great that you did this review. And again, I thought I just love watching these reviews that you do. I think they're incredibly well made, and there's so much great production value that you bring to it. I know, you know, Alan, you're a cinematographer yourself, so you shoot all these, and you said you shoot them in 5K.
I do. Yeah, those are shot in 5K on a cinema camera, a Red. And it's probably a bit overkill. I mean, our editor thinks it's overkill, but I think it's helped us have a lot of leeway to push in and out of footage, cut things in and out, and have a quality that we've been looking for. And eventually, if we do it 4K on YouTube, we probably could pull it off. So,
well, I love what you guys are doing, and I think that on YouTube, you know, it's in that sweet spot of 8 to 10 minutes. But what I really like is that You give a great overview of the film. Lana, you're hilarious. I mean, obviously, you're a great presenter. Now, I'm curious, do you script these? I mean, you must.
Does it seem like we don't?
Well, no, because the writing is great. I mean, and I'm curious. I mean, you have a lot of great gags with sound effects, and you add a lot of things. I'm just curious, how long does it take you to do one of these from soup to nuts?
Well, I mean,
I guess. I'd say I'm not a writer, so I've been trying to write these.
You've been using
Because
Chat
I've been
GPT, haven't you?
I wish I should get into that. No, I've been trying to write these as we've been doing this process, because when we started this channel for our reviews, we're like, how do we write a review? Because I had no idea how to even write a review. I was like, gosh, we need to learn how to do this. So a lot of this has been me taking my kind of nerd knowledge that I've had and putting it down on the page with the, trying to make it flow and entertaining. And then I do kind of a rough draft. She gets it. She adds her flair to it. Just the jokes make it sound more like her voice, so it's not just me talking, and it becomes our combined voices of what it is.
yeah, it's actually a really, really nice split because he's so familiar with movie reviews. He's just consuming content all the time. Movies are like your passion.
Well,
What you
Alan's
love.
nerd knowledge. I mean, he's his bona fides. He's a genuine uber nerd, which is another reason.
Oh, totally.
I think that I've often said that I believe that the currency of the 21st century is authenticity, and the whole thing about I think YouTube content, especially on this channel, everyone who's on this channel, whether it's King Tannic or whether it's Lael or anybody else that I stream with, they all, if they weren't authentic, the audience would know right away. And what I really liked about this piece in particular was you give a bit of a history lesson on the entire Evil Dead franchise and comment on things, and there's some really interesting insights that you bring to it, which I think is very cool. It's not just, you're not just giving us a review of the film. You learn something. What I like about your content is it makes me want to go back and like revisit things. And that's one of the things I really like about what you're doing. And there's clearly a joy and exuberance to these. I just think they're fucking fun, man. And
Well, they are really fun because like he knows them so well, but so he comes from a perspective of like years of experience, years of knowledge, knowing a lot of behind the scenes, knowing a lot about the directors and like who they are, their personalities, what they bring. And for me, I know nothing. So we watch it together and he sort of puts together the structure of the review, and I'll go through it and we discuss, do we agree? Did I find anything different? As a first time viewer, what did I think with having absolutely no bias of growing up with these movies? So it's really a review that reflects both of our opinions at the same time.
by the way, I just want to point out that Clayton Homer in the chat says Lana and Alan, their names have the same 4 letters.
They do.
Very
I know.
interesting.
So faded.
Well,
Yeah,
no, I love hearing you say that, though. I mean, and it's kind of romantic that you're a husband and wife team that's making these great videos, and the fact that both of you contribute is kind of in the exact spirit of what this channel is really all about. And I love that. I think it's great, as long as you don't wind up killing each other and blaming me. Because that wouldn't happen.
Blaming you? No, that's probably not going to happen.
No. Okay, I hope not.
Yeah.
Now, you guys have been working on what is your next review that you're going to drop next week?
Well, we just watched Battle Royale 2000. Actually, 2001 with the special edition, which has a little bit of extra stuff sprinkled in there.
Now,
but it was my first viewing.
Yeah, you'd never seen it before.
Yeah. No,
See, that's what's going to be, I think that's what's really interesting is, I like to watch reaction videos, but I don't like to sit there for 2 hours while somebody watches a movie. And it's going to be interesting getting these very vibrant and very cool videos is kind of like getting a reaction video in 8 minutes or 10 minutes, which I think is,
Although
I think is great.
it's only from me though, which is unfortunate because his commentary is bananas.
I've seen the movie a lot. I mean, it's crazy. I had to import PlayStation 2 back in the day when it first came out. I imported one just so I could import that movie. I don't know why, but I did that. And I would show all my friends. Everyone would come over, and I'd show them Battle Royale quite often. They'd be like, "Oh, this is so cool! It's amazing!" And I totally forgot about it until you mentioned. You're like, "You should look at Battle Royale." I'm like, "Oh, damn, I should.
Yeah, the way his
I shouldn't
eyes
have seen
lit up
it. Yeah,
when
I
you
was like,
said it.
God, I watched that a million times. I totally forgot about it. So.
By the way, Ritwick in the chat says, yes, the review was spot on. After watching the movie, I completely agree with Lana's observation.
Ooh, thank you. Which parts? Because I mean, tell me in great detail. Yeah, no, it was. I love all the Evil Dead movies. We love this one. Obviously, it was a great movie.
Yeah, I mean, they're great. I mean, we were really excited for this one. I mean, like everyone, we saw that trailer. It's so good. I was like, God, this looks like my jam. So we were excited to see it, and when we saw it, we don't want to just go, oh, it's all great, it's a great movie, or it's bad. It's like there's a lot of things that are good and bad in any movie.
Right.
And as we picked, we put on our little nerd glasses and looked at it, and as nerds do, we pick these things apart, but we try not to be too picky. But we also want to point some things out that I think, a lot of reviews we saw, people are just like, yeah, it's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
It's all great. It's so good. It's back to old form. It's like, well, it is and it isn't.
Yeah.
So,
there were moments in the movie I remember, and this happens to us all the time because we're often so in sync. Is something would happen, and then I would feel his body sort of tense next to me, and then the moment would deflate. Like the cheese grater was a perfect example because I had seen a tweet by Alyssa that someone had given her a cheese grater on a keychain, and I had seen that part in the trailer, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be like a moment. And then the Deadite pulls out the cheese grater, and he was next to me, and I felt this, and I was like, ooh, and we were both like excited, and then the scene happened, and we both sort of felt it at the same time, and it happened a couple times. The tattoo pen was one, but we were just like, are we saying the right thing? Because I thought this was going to be the best ever. Yeah.
Well, everybody says, and that's the thing. It's the best ever. I love this. It's
so
fantastic.
Cool.
Which is great. I mean, I love these. Now, I ask you, before you started making these reviews, did you guys look at a lot of YouTube content? Were you looking at what was out there? And by the way, Lana, someone says that, actually, Rex Kramer says, does anyone think Alan looks like Dave Grohl? Do you?
Ooh, I love Dave Grohl.
Well,
I've had that before.
Making so much sense.
I think I've seen him walking in Seattle once, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just what you
my
see.
God,
You see so many.
it now. That's wild.
Well, you see so many rockers in Seattle. I mean,
now you can't
just like rock
unsee
band.
it.
No, I can't
I
unsee
can't
it.
unsee it.
Oh,
Good
You
thing I really
cannot.
like Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
You do, kind of.
No, I knew the song that could impress you. And then I sucked
Yes,
after
you
that.
played the one song. It was very impressive.
There's one song I have. That's all I have. Yeah, what are we talking about? Evil Dead.
Oh,
yeah.
YouTube, like YouTube content.
Oh, YouTube. Oh, yeah. I soaked this stuff in. I mean, again, I found you from John Campea. Like, a lot of people.
Right.
I during COVID, I wanted to just soak up movie news, and I work in video games, and I do the cinematic side of the game. So I do all the narrative things. I come with the style guides, all that stuff, and I get a lot of information actually from you guys, like your opinions on things, because I want to hear that. Because a lot of the people I work with in the game industry, tell you the truth, we just play games.
Right.
I don't have. I talk to them about film, like, these older films, and they're like, what are you talking about? Like, I just saw the latest streaming thing, not what you're talking about. Let's just make it like that. I'm like, no. What about these old classics? Let's look at that. And when I found you guys like on YouTube, it got me really excited. Like, these are my people, And I found that as I go, I find people like you, the Critical Drinker, all have different opinions that make me go, wow, I wish these are my people. I want to talk with them more, and I'd love to bring some of those opinions to the community as well. I'm not a presenter at all. I hate being in front of the camera. This is new for me. Just being in front of the camera, except for meetings at work, obviously.
But you're a natural. Come on.
Oh, thank you. But it still feels a little weird. But she's really good at it. And it's been really fun to work with her and bring these things to light that I've always been holding back.
Well, it's really fun because oftentimes he'll be listening to whatever show, usually yours, and he'll have expressed to me some opinion about something he saw, whether it be a show or a series or what have you, and he'll give me a very specific opinion, and I'll be like, yeah, no, I totally agree with that. That's a really great point, but I don't really contribute much because I don't have a lot of that knowledge. And then like a couple hours later, he'll be listening to your show, and I'll hear it from the other room. It's exactly the thing that he said to me. He's like, see, other people are thinking about it, but these are the only ones. And honey, this is for you. These are your people for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and that's I think what's really interesting in the nerd space. That's why I hate geeks and nerds, because there's such I see them as having negative connotations. That's why we only call people imagination connoisseurs around here. You know,
Correct
because
me very quickly. I remember that.
you know, Revenge of the Nerds. It was always like, even the word nerd is an onomatopoeia. It sounds like it is, and I don't like it. So, but what I think is really interesting is we to have people provide cogent discourse, and even the way you do your reviews. One of the things I really liked about your approach is you celebrate movies, if this makes any sense, with how you present your reviews. And there's something joyous about your videos. And it was interesting because when you first contacted me, because a lot of people contact me and they were like, I want to do this and I want to do that. I'm like, and then you see something. I mean, your stuff was so light years beyond what I normally see, but it put a smile on my face, like watching, and not just because Lana, you know, I understand as a guy.
You give me way too much credit.
That wasn't, but no, I mean, I think the way you do everything, even the jokes within the videos, and I was like, this is an exuberant, joyous experience to watch your reviews. And I'm like, that's what we need more of, you know, and I think the reason people tune into this channel, the reason why I've been able to generate any kind of an audience is because for the most part, I tend to be very positive. And because I'm a positive human being for the most part, because I like being alive and we live in interesting times and it's pretty great, you know, and so, and I think another thing that really sort of about what you guys are going to do for the channel that really I like is, you know, we together we're going over lists of movies that you guys might focus on. And I really like the idea of celebrating a lot of sort of these fringy kind of films that I think a lot of people haven't seen, you know, and the fact that you, Lana, are going to see a lot of them for the first time and bring that perspective, that too is exciting to me. Because when I was one of the first kids with a VCR on my block back in 1980, and there were 15 kids at my house every day, because it's hard for people to imagine this now, but there was a time where you couldn't just get the movies you wanted. You know, you couldn't, and you had to wait till they were on TV. And when I was showing kids, my mom would get calls all the time. Your son showed my daughter Alien, and that's an R-rated movie. And my mom would just be like, whatever. My mom did not understand what the big deal was, you know. And she would get calls a lot. And for me,
Had she seen the movies? Did she know what
no,
you were
no.
watching? Okay.
The only time my mother ever batted an eye was when I was actually watching. I did not know what I Spit on Your Grave was about. You know, I rented it. I Spit on Your Grave is a movie about a woman who gets raped 4 times in one day, and that in a very graphic fashion. And then she comes back and she takes revenge on these men. And the movie is notorious for its castration scene, where she lures this guy into the bathtub, begins giving him a hand job, reaches underneath the rug, the throw rug in the bathroom, pulls out a giant butcher knife, and does the deed, and it is hardcore. And I'd never, you know, I was not up on my rape revenge movies at 13. I didn't know the genre. I'd not seen, they call it Thriller. They call her One Eye. I'd not seen Last House on the Left. I'd read about them, but I didn't understand really. And that movie was hard. It's not a movie I like, but I'm watching it. My mom comes down and starts doing laundry. And she
Which part?
Well, and she was staying there like during the rape scenes. My mom was like, "What? I'm 13," and she's like, "What the hell are you watching?" And I go, "It's just a horror movie, Mom." You know, and I was shocked. I'd never seen anything like this before. And my mom's like, "Are you supposed to be watching this?" And I'm like, "Well, I rented it from the video store. You know, what do you want me to say?"
Oh no! Someone got fired that next day.
No, nobody knew. But it's interesting because nowadays I think that if people knew what kind of movies were being made back in the day, I don't think a lot of people understand how in the post-Vietnam era, what kind of movies were being cranked out. You know, even we talked about you guys doing Basket Case, the Frank Henlotter movie, and that to me epitomizes the grungy New York horror,
Dirty New York,
dirty. Like
I love the dirty New York.
MS-45 or Miss 45, and a lot of the Abel Ferrara's first movie, Driller Killer. I mean, there's a lot of the grungiest. I mean, even the way movies are filmed, it looks like you need to take like some kind of real heavy duty cleaner and wash the lens off or something. And we don't, people they haven't watched those movies, and even when they do, they're so grungy, it's hard for modern audiences to even connect with them. But they're out there, and you're going to watch them.
I can't wait.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
I can't wait for Basket Case. That's definitely one that I showed her a photo of it.
Yeah,
and she just saw
did I ask you what it was, or were you
because you're
going
like,
through
what
the
is
list?
this? What is
Yeah.
just give me a little, snap.
So I'm gonna Google search it.
And the first image comes up as like this, puppet head on top of a toilet in this guy's apartment. It's like, prosthetic head, its mouth wide open, and she's like, "Yep, we're watching that."
Yeah, that was my first choice actually.
So,
yeah. And
yeah.
you're like, in fact, you warned me. Don't look at too many images, please. Is what you said.
I mean, that's pretty much the whole movie,
Yeah.
but it's great.
Mm.
A lot of walking. I would remember.
A lot of walking.
A lot of walking in New York with that basket. Yes.
Oh, it's a big basket.
You'll see.
Joey Hamilton sends in a super chat and says, I like you guys. The style of video can be really obnoxious and spurious with a lesser presenter and a worse script, but I think this really works.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure where that was gonna go. I'm so pleased it went the way that it did.
And we're out.
Demonetize. No, I think
No.
what I think is great. I mean, obviously your exuberance and your winsome. I said it last week that your personality really shines through because I was kind of worried. I didn't know you, and I was saying that the phenomenon of booth babes in San Diego, when you'd have comic companies, and they'd hire these hot chicks to entice imagination connoisseurs to come to the booths, is the worst. To me, it's the worst kind of pandering to people. And when I first watched your videos, I'm like, it was interesting because you sent me to, and I even said to you, I was saying this last week, I want to see more of Lana's personality. But then when I watched your John Wick video that I played last week, I'm like, oh, no. This is perfect. This is exactly, and it was the reference you made to the video game because you guys are both gamers. So I was like, that's an interesting connection that you made, and I'm like, okay, then people will know that you guys are genuine, and that's the biggest thing. I think that's the biggest thing on YouTube is people want to know. They want to think that they're hanging out with their friends. That's what they want. Like they watch people that they hope can one day be their friends and hang out. And I think that's important. That's what we want.
We actually tried to pull some of that back even because we wonder if everyone's going to be able to relate to those. We were writing Evil Dead Rise, right? And
Yeah.
we were I was talking about having played this one horror game called Dead of Night, which had jump scares, and
Yeah.
it was like a guy. So, was it the Evil Dead review? Yeah, of course it was.
Yeah, must
Yeah.
be. I can't.
But
Merging into one now.
yeah, it was. Oh, that's
Yeah.
why. Oh gosh, there's so many references.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the video game side of us is very, very strong.
We have to pull back sometimes.
We do.
Because
We
you can
do
easily go into
intentionally.
it's like this game, it's like that game. I mean, everything's influencing everything else these days, right?
Yeah.
It's just a big loop.
Mhm.
And we just try to pick the biggest, just pick one that we can go at, and that happens a lot, which is it's fine. It's totally great. It's
I
part of
remember
our
what
process.
it was.
so,
We were talking about the view out of the peephole in the hallway,
yeah.
and I was saying how that part terrified me because of my experience playing this one kind of
Indie
indie
game,
game horror,
yeah.
this one indie horror game called Dead of Night, where you're looking out the peephole and the guy running the inn is going up and down the hallway looking for you, and he looks into the peephole, and I'm "Blah!" And it gives me I hate it. People tease me about it all the time, and so when I was watching Evil Dead, I felt that, but if anything, the game was a little bit scarier. 'Cause
Yeah.
everyone I was watching outside the people, I didn't know who they were.
It's true.
Yeah. But yeah, we do pull that back a little bit. So I'm glad to hear that you like that because now
Yeah.
maybe Alan will let me add that back in.
Well, no, I think that's really that's but that's the thing. Seeing the synergy that you two guys and girl have, guy and girl have. I think it really works for the videos that you're doing. I mean, it's great. And all I want to do is I want to present content that I like. That's where. So if I like something, I want to put it on the channel. I mean, I've said to people, they think I'm crazy, but I want this channel to eventually have 12 hours of original programming a day. And I don't know if that's even possible. And it flies in the face of a lot of what YouTube does in terms of analytics, because people tune into this channel. They're like, well, Rob, I can't find you on your own channel. And that's, I'm trying to alleviate that. But I still want to concentrate. Like, I want to make this channel a combination of nerding out or imagination connoisseuring out,
There it is.
and at the same time provide other creators a platform to hopefully reach the widest possible audience, and that we can all, like, I do want to do, like we talked about, doing a Dead Ringers live stream where we compare and contrast the Cronenberg original with the new TV series, which, you know, I've really mixed feelings on the new TV series. It's beautifully done, and Rachel Weisz delivers a great performance, but I'm not really sure it entirely works. And but I don't know.
Did you tweet you loved it? I think when you first saw it, you tweeted, "This is or
well,
something."
I said it was hardcore.
Hardcore. Okay, that's what it was.
Because the opening montage, I mean, you see babies being born.
They go right into it.
And they go right
yeah.
into it, and I was really surprised. You know, at CinemaCon, we saw a movie called, oh God, why am I drawing a blank on the name? It was so good. Why am I drawing a blank on this? I just saw this movie. Joyride. It's called Joyride.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
And it was fucking hilarious. You know, it's a movie about 4 Asian girls, and one of them is going back to the homeland to try and find her birth mother. It was the raunchiest shit I've seen in a long time. And yet it was hilarious. And I saw some things in that movie I'd never seen before. I was like, oh my. There was one smash cut to something that you just have to see to believe. And I was like, wow, you guys just went for it there.
I can't imagine something that you haven't seen before. I'm really drawing a blank.
Well, it was just in the context of it all. I mean, there's a running joke about one of the characters who has a tattoo on their nether regions.
Okay.
And then they show it, and when I say they show it, they showed it. And I was like, wow, and then they plussed that. So
they doubled down.
They and when you see it in the movie, and I'm not spoiling anything, when you see it, I lost my shit. And the movie, you know, to me, it was really interesting because everyone talks about representation. It's pretty much mostly female crew, female actresses. This is the kind of point of view I want from women's work that gives you insight and gives me things that I don't think I would have known otherwise. And it was tremendously funny. I think it's from Lionsgate. It opens in July. Ooh, and it was one of the funny, I haven't seen a comedy as funny as this in a long time.
Wow, that's crazy. That's good to hear, because just not many comedies.
I know. But it also,
like, back in the day, that was the thing. Yeah, you wanted to go. I wanted to go see comedy. Like we've never seen a comedy in theater. Now I think about it. You know,
you always ask. Actually, once we see a comedy at home, even a rom-com, he always turns and asks me, "Now, can you imagine seeing that in a theater?"
Yeah. What was it like? Did we watch broadcast news? Is that what I showed you? I was showing you broadcast news. It's like, imagine seeing that in the theater. Like, we went to go on a date to go see broadcast news. Like, that wouldn't happen anymore, right?
No. And, you know, the scene where, is it Albert Brooks who starts sweating?
Yeah.
You know, the water's pouring. It's so good. I like broadcast news. I mean, they would never greenlight a movie. A studio would never greenlight that movie today, which is too bad. This is interesting. Our good friend Thomas Logan sends in a super chat and says, Nick Pizzolatto, who scripted the legendary first season of True Detective, which, by the way, is a banger, is now writing Blade for Marvel. Oh. That plus Sony announcing Kraven is R-rated makes me think Kevin Feige will give Blade the R rating. I have to say, we saw the trailer for Kraven the Hunter at the Sony presentation, and it's as bloody as the second to last Rambo movie. It's fucking hardcore. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this is a Sony, and Aaron Taylor Johnson plays Kraven, and he is just jacked to the gills. And he is just taking motherfuckers out left and right, and it was amazing. And I'm like, wow. You know, I wondered, how could they make this movie? I don't understand how you would try and make a Blade movie that isn't R-rated. I mean, the first Blade movie is definitely not perfect, But when Tracy Lords takes that kid to the blood rave and
So good. Best opening
Oh
ever.
yeah.
when the
I
New
love
Order,
that opening.
that New Order remix kicks in and the the
so
breakdown,
good.
the water comes,
The flash strobe light.
Oh,
Strobe with the red.
it's so
sketch,
good.
Oh,
And a lot of people got sick when they shot that scene because they kept recycling the blood, and people were in that. It
they were
was
like physically.
yeah, they got sick because they were it's all sickly sweet and it's not good, and you're being exposed to it all day long.
Oh man,
Not good.
I love Blade. I love the original. That's one of my
payoff.
favorite.
Yeah.
I've really gotten into comic movies with Blade, which is that opening, and Stephen Dorff. I actually think he was a great villain in that.
He was great.
He's really good in that. Actually,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The ending is something, but
I mean, the end. They didn't know how to end it.
yeah.
And the CG is it really dates that movie now.
Oh yeah, the body like it's cut
Oh
in half.
my god.
And you get those fun globule.
That was so much fun.
We've learned liquid effects today. Let's work with it.
Yeah, what can you do? Alex Aureliano or Aureliano Luna says, "Are you going to watch Big George Foreman? That's the new film about the life of George Foreman. I don't know if I'm going to see it in the theater. I think it's in the theater. But look, I love to see I love boxing movies, and I'll go see it. Grew up with George Foreman. I think our family had a George Foreman grill, so why not? Why not see that?
I also had George Foreman grill, and I just want to see it just to confirm that he did name all his kids George Foreman, right? That's a real thing that happened.
Is that true? I didn't know that.
I think so. Like 13 of them are all named George.
That's a lot of Georges.
Even the girls? Are they Georgina?
Yeah. I think they're just straight up George.
Jeez.
I don't know. Someone should Google it. Or just wait to watch the movie.
Yeah, I'm
it's
gonna wait for the
probably in the
movie. I can't
biopic.
wait.
I think that's going to be more fun.
We shall see.
Yeah. I don't.
Charlie the Unicorn just says yes. I don't know what that means, but
Yes.
that's exciting. So let me ask you guys this. So you guys, girls, tell us about the production. Take us through. You talked about the writing of the script, but take us through the production. I love at the end, and obviously I'll put a link to. I think I'm going to put a link to my interview I did with Brian Fuller, who created the TV series Hannibal, about horror on the end of your video.
Yeah, I love Hannibal. That's so good.
Oh, it's the best horror TV show ever.
Some of the best photography of death. To make gore beautiful is something I don't see often. You see it, and just the compositions of it, almost like I go to a museum to watch some of that.
That's incredible.
So good. Yeah.
So take us through, how do you, once you figure out, obviously you watch the movie, but how do you start, and do you write the script first?
Yeah. We watched the movie. We let it set in the night. Watch the movie that night. Don't touch any writing yet. Just think about it. We kind of sit there. It's pretty late at night. We watch these movies. We're night owls, so it's probably about 1 or 2 in the morning. We're like, okay, that was great.
Yeah.
Let's take a nap.
We'll wander into each other's rooms and be like, you know what I just thought about? That one scene where this and that happens, and then wander back out.
Yeah, it's a lot of that, kind of going back and forth. Our minds are working it out, going for our nerd things, figuring it out. And then we, the next day, we go, okay, let's get more into this. And we talk about, we have a coffee, like everyone does, wakes up in the morning, has their coffee. And then we just start bringing up topics about it. And then I start writing some notes, go through things I liked, things I didn't like. You can see we break it down in a very, what we liked, what was mixed, what we don't like. And we've seen this from other YouTubers and they do it really well. So this is definitely something we borrowed. We wanted to expand upon.
Yeah.
So,
and you do that mostly on your own. He does most of the first draft on his own, fleshes out all the points, not necessarily organizes them, but just makes note of things that happens. Because I can't really retain all those individual moments. But then, of course, I'm the backup. So if there's something in that scene, doesn't remember how one particular thing happened, like the Deadite death, right? One of the Deadite deaths. We talk about that. But for the most part, for that particular segment, I don't really do much anything.
Yeah, and I start putting some jokes in there, even if they're good or bad, because we like having fun with this stuff, and comedy is so subjective, and I'm like, is this a good joke? Is this bad? I don't know. And when we bounce it off each other, it usually becomes its own thing. And then when we actually film it, then she even puts another layer on top of that.
Skipped over the revisions.
I know. I just jumped to the joke stuff. But we do the reviews, we write it, and then we go and we do some revisions on it. And then we go, okay, this is looking good. And then time is starting to catch up to us because we have a planned shoot date. We always do this is our shoot date. We're going to go for this. We have to hit it this time. She's also figuring out outfits to wear again.
That timeline is all over the place.
Yeah, but she's also figuring out outfits to wear for the review as well.
Which is its own challenge. So to wrap up the part about the script is he'll do the whole draft. And he won't really like organize it, just gets all the points down, things he knew was interesting, things that we talked about the previous night, that morning, that kind of thing. And then I'll go through and I'll read it and I'll make sure that all of I understand what he was trying to say about this. Do we add something about that? Is that really a mixed point or is that a negative thing? Are we all negatives? Like, what else can we find? What else did we like about this? And what do you think other people are thinking about? Like, what do we need to address that, we hadn't really thought of yet? So he does the first pass, I'll do the second pass, and then we do the third one together. And then we'll make sure that the jokes are hitting, and then we'll weave those in there. The wardrobe part of that, if anyone's curious about the wardrobe, is done way beforehand because I have to order the clothes. And so we were just experiencing this, for the next movie, which is Battle Royale, because I didn't know what it was about. And I don't want to so to plan the outfits, I have to get a view of the key art. So I have to look at the posters. I have to look at the art. I have to kind of know.
Come on, you got to dress like a Sailor Moon girl. I expect you to look like a teenage Japanese.
I have it, right?
Oh, I'm sure you do. I mean, I'm talking Japanese schoolgirl here.
Yeah.
Come on.
We've got that. I've got three. I've got the clueless one. I got the yellow one.
The clueless one's
the
great.
gray one, and I have the white one. So.
No, you don't have to. I leave that up to you. I don't know anything about. I know nothing about fashion.
Either do I.
But it's tough though, because sometimes for some movies, and I want to get the wardrobe down, I don't want to spoil it for myself either by Googling images. So we have to do that way ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the script is done.
Yeah, the script is done, and then we're getting close to shoot. We have dinner. We drink some wine or White Claw, whatever your choice is.
When you make me drink White Claw,
or White Claw. Or then we're ready to go. And when I set everything up, so we don't have a dedicated. We have a dedicated space where it is, but I have to pull down my camera, and because we have a small house to film these things, so I have to pull down all this equipment every time we do a shoot. But I put markers on the floor where every light goes.
Our dog just ate all the markers.
Our dog actually ate all the markers that I have. So I have
you had the actual plastic little markers, the little.
Well, we just use tape.
We just use tape.
Oh, you do? Okay.
There. The camera took all our money, so the tape is on the floor, and our little puppy ate all of our tape. So I have to lay all that out every time. But I've gotten pretty fast at it. It's almost like going to a set. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna set everything up. Gives me that vibe of being back on film sets like I was getting into before COVID. So I get everything together, getting the lights right, and everything's remote Wi-Fi, get the colors right for the lights. And she comes in frame. She's ready to go. She got her makeup done. And I'm like, and here's our script. We have a little teleprompter now we have in the front. So she can see that because there's a lot of stuff. It was hard. We didn't have one before, and it just wasn't working as well without that.
It was tough. Yeah.
By the way, Charlie the Unicorn in the chat says White Claw is not metal.
I agree.
And I just want to say that we have a show we haven't done in a while, but we have a show called Midnight Metal. We Midnight Metal that we've used to do. Dave Parker, who I do it with, is mad at me, so we haven't done it in a while.
Oh no!
I have to call up.
What kind of metal things do you discuss at midnight?
Well, we've had people there's a band out of I want to say, is it Danish, called Chaosium, and so we had the lead singer of Chaosium on.
Cool.
We've had horror writers on the show. We've had all different kinds of people on Midnight Metal. It's pretty interesting. So, but no one drinks White Claw at midnight.
I was gonna say, yeah, especially not the lime ones. I don't know why
the lime
we
ones
still
are
have
worse.
those.
Something about the lime White Claw. I don't know.
They're all terrible.
We never picked that one.
Yeah, they're all terrible.
But
so when you're shooting, how long does it take you to can you get through the entire script at once, or do you start and stop?
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, just recently, so I didn't learn a lot from my theater days, including getting myself ready and in the right mindset. So for the first dozen videos that we've done, most of the videos, we've had to get through the whole script. And then by the end of it, I have done so much genuine ranting and gone off script so far and inserted my true feelings that were just not scripted that I am ready at the end, and then we'll have to go back and do the whole intro over again, and sometimes even like the first like act, if you will. But now because well, honestly, because we're in this collaborative partnership, I'm a little bit more invested. So now I'm more into the revisions of the script. I'm making sure that my voice is really in there. So now when we start, especially because we're on this like weekly cadence, the script is fresh in my mind. The jokes are there. They're real. I still think they're funny. I haven't overthought them yet. And so now we just start to finish, just do like top to bottom, get through the whole script at once, which is great. But at the same time, we'll finish a whole script, and then the next day we're already in the editing mode, and we'll be like, you know what we forgot to add? Like these 5 things. And then so we did our first retakes the other day for Evil Dead Rise.
Oh, wow.
To add a couple things. Yeah.
So her hair changes in one, a little bit more fluffy.
No, it's perfect.
That's fine. It's still perfect. It's just perfect in different ways. So we did our first reshoots, and that's fun. I actually like having having that ability, because we always were doing one take, get it up there, good to go. So and our editor, and then the next step again, once we're done, is it goes that night. It's probably like 2 a.m. I put it right up on Dropbox, get the footage at least sending to our guy who's in the UK, who is our editor, who's amazing. He's our other part of our team here. And then at the same time, I'm taking frames of that footage and I'm creating a backplate, which is usually a still frame from the film. Whatever I can find that I move a character, I paint back in some stuff, make it so we have a little character in the frame with her to have a scene. And that takes a little time. It's not too long. And then the color grading, I get the color grade close to what the film is. So we want it to be somewhat in the scene. Doesn't have to be perfect, but because some films are so color graded in a certain direction, but we want her to pop a little bit. It depends. But this one, it was a tougher. This shot we found, one, right? It was just a flat, horror typical grade. So it's tough to have a person stand out. But we made it work.
My favorite one's probably Megan, where I'm in the playroom. And Megan is sitting in the back.
Yeah, we do that on purpose, and I always move that because there's no shot where it's like that. I have to actually move her in the shot, and then I repaint in the backgrounds if I have to. So we do that. So I get that all ready to go. That takes me a little time. Get that sent off to him. That's a project file that lets it connect to all those files that I've sent to him over the Dropbox. It takes a day for him to get all that stuff. So he's waiting. He's doing other stuff. The guy's busy. He's so good.
He's so good.
Excited. Yeah, he loves. What's great about him is he's worked on a lot of Twitch stuff.
That's how I found him. I found him while I was streaming. Yeah, and I yanked him from somebody else. Did my content instead.
And it was just so funny, his humor, his sense of humor and what he was doing. And he could tell that he was like, man, I'm getting kind of bored. I'm doing like esports type, promos or stuff like that. And no, he just wants something new and fresh. Any artist, when we're doing the same thing over and over again, we want something new. I mean, it's what me every day. I'm like that, right? I have to have something new to keep me going. That's why a lot of us in the industry I'm in, 2 years and you go to your next thing because you're constantly needing something new. And he was like, I need something new and fresh to be fun. I mean, I love what I do, but I want to do something new and stuff. And we pitched this idea.
He likes movies.
Yeah, and he likes movies. He's into horror.
But he's in his mid-20s.
He's a younger dude,
and he's not from the US, so he doesn't know all the same movies. He knows even less than I do sometimes. Did you tell Rob about when we told him about Tron and everything?
Oh, yes, dude.
So we have a great story for you.
Yeah,
actually.
We do.
Ooh.
So
wait, I want to hear this.
Yeah, it's about you, so you'll love it.
Yeah.
Oh no.
We were talking about you because we brought up, Rob, he doesn't watch much YouTube,
right?
Movie reviews and stuff. So we brought up Rob. We're like, Rob's really cool. He's done all these things. He's like, oh, cool. He's like, I was watching this documentary about Tron. I'm so really into it. It's so interesting. I'm like, you watched a documentary on Tron, did you? And I was like, didn't someone I know work on that?
It was even better than that, because we were explaining, we mentioned some of the credits you were in.
Yeah, we were saying everything.
And he wasn't that familiar. And then we were talking about how, you specialize in certain things. Yeah. And he goes, oh, that sounds really right up my alley. In fact, I was just watching this documentary on how Tron was made. Yeah. Can you believe that it was like, imagine back in the day. And he started going on a little bit. And Alan his only interjection was, you know who directed that, right? And it was in text too, but I could feel his mind just explode. He just, oh my fucking God, you're fucking kidding me. And we're like, wow. I
love that story. And the thing is, the entire documentary it's on YouTube.
And that's where I saw it.
Yeah, you can find it on YouTube. And You know what's really interesting about I used to think like because people are like, oh, you directed one movie 25 years ago, you must. And what people don't understand is that I've bounced around, and like everything I've done, I was very interested in. And when I was given an opportunity, Disney goes, just give us 10 minutes about Tron. And I'm like, no. I was like Rorschach, save us. No. And so, I started making this documentary, and it was while we had just started working on Lord of the Rings, and I was able to, it was 88 minutes. And at the time, there used to be an award ceremony, kind of like the Oscars for documentaries on DVDs. And it was nominated for Best Retrospective Documentary of the Year. So I was able to go to this award ceremony, dress up and red carpet event. And I didn't win. MASH won, the movie MASH, the original MASH, which is fine. It should have, it was great. But, and Tron it's a very academic documentary, but a lot of people in the industry have seen it. People see that documentary because I tried to go as in-depth as I could at the time in terms of talking to everyone. And it kind of bums me out. Like Warner Brothers takes a lot of their content that was made for DVDs and puts it on YouTube, so you can watch it. And whenever they bring back like my Valley Girl documentaries and my Usual Suspects documentaries, I thought were lost to time. But thanks to like Kino Lorber that put out the Usual Suspects on 4K, they found all of our documentary stuff and they put it on this year or 2022. And the same with Valley Girl. 2023 is actually the 40th anniversary of Valley Girl.
Wow.
And this month
think we
actually.
should do a rewatch?
Oh, that would be. You know what? That, even though it's not horror based, it would be interesting maybe you could. So, I want to say Ryan Johnson's wife does a podcast you should remember this, and she's been doing erotic thrillers of like the 80s. And a whole and she was comparing and contrasting
My genre.
Yeah, well, I love. I've often lamented that the erotic thriller is sort of a dead art.
Yeah.
And I don't understand what's happened to sexuality. Is either totally commodified now or no one's having sex. It's just weird. And I love the erotic thriller. And basically, I have my Catherine Trammell statue right behind me. The quarter scale when she's crossing her legs. I mean, say what you want about me, but I'm a huge fan. And Adrian Lyne Flashdance just celebrated its 40th anniversary.
Oh my gosh.
40th.
I tried watching that the other day. I couldn't get 40% of the way through it.
Oh, come on. It's awesome.
That photography is something. Yeah.
Isn't it amazing?
Maybe
though?
if you mute it.
It's gorgeous. It's actually really well shot.
Yeah, that's
it feels
true.
like Michael Bay,
Yeah.
like how he shot the jets. He shoots her ass.
Yeah, well, what's really interesting, Adrian Lyne, who directed that movie, also directed like 9.5 Weeks, and also directed Jacob's Ladder, and he also directed a really great teen film that Jodie Foster starred in. I think it's 1980, called Foxes. That's about teenage girls in trouble in L.A. But Flashdance obviously was a trifle, but that movie was hugely influential, and this week. Tony Scott's The Hunger celebrated its 40th anniversary that opens with Bauhaus, and it's David Bowie and Catherine Deneuve. And at the time, in the early 80s, there was a huge influx of British directors. And Tony Scott and Adrian Lyne were two of those directors. Alan Parker, who had done Fame and Birdie, which are also great films. And they brought that sort of high contrast look, a lot of silhouettes. And
Yeah, so good.
The thing about Flashdance is because I love Flashdance, I'll admit it, flat out.
Oh, really?
The 4K came out 2 weeks ago.
Enhance.
well, it's in Dolby Vision, and I put it on my Atmos system because it's Giorgio Moroder wrote the music. He wrote the score. It's so 80s. But when I put on because the thing about, I mean, you weren't even born when Flashdance. Come on, you weren't born.
What year was it?
Were.
82. Yeah, I was. 82,
okay, you were one.
Just missed
alive.
Yeah.
I was alive.
You were alive. But the thing about Flashdance was, at the time, it was a monster hit, and Jennifer Beals I mean, if you look at that movie now, she's 18 and she's dating Michael Nouri, who's
She was
that was
18?
my first comment.
Oh my gosh,
Like,
she's
this
18.
man-
her character Alex is 18.
Oh my god.
I mean,
she looks
she's
old and creepy. I'm sorry.
Well,
He
that's the
looks
thing,
really
that
old.
movie would never get made today.
And I
Never.
appreciate that. Most of the time, I actually like that. And there's something weird about that,
yeah.
too.
Well, yeah, that's a thing. But
But yeah.
Yeah, anyways.
it's so creepy.
I love the music. The music's so. I mean, was that music like was that popular stuff that they brought for that, or they make it for the movie? Like,
They made some of it for the movie.
Okay.
Giorgio Moroder, who was on the Daft Punk's last album, Giorgio Moroder had done he did the music for Scarface, for Midnight Express, and he worked with Donna Summer. And he was a huge, like, on the disco circuit of the late 70s and early 80s, he was a gigantic figure. And like the score, the song Flashdance, What a Feeling, that the late, great Irene
That's a good
Cara
song.
sang. So, you know, it's got a lot of, it's definitely an artifact of its time. Definitely an artifact
Hey,
of its
girls
time.
got to make a living.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
mean-
love it. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous looking. I was
It
really,
is.
you know, from
That's
a
what
cinematography
we were
side.
enjoying that, yes.
Oh,
I
it's
was
stunning.
impressed by the lighting. The opening dance thing when she's
Honestly, even
That's
when they
so
can't stop chatting about like, oh, the men they're infatuated with or whatever, it was in this like foggy, dreamlike white setting, and it's just one stack of like equipment that they were using, I guess, and the way that the
Yeah.
camera sort of cycled around them in that scene
Yeah,
was
just
really
like that.
interesting. I hate the dialogue.
close-ups of the
But
steel
yeah,
mill, the
yeah,
sparks
exactly,
flying
yeah,
and her
and all
helmet.
that.
Yeah.
Well, one of the interesting, I want to say that Joe Esterhaus, the guy who wrote Basic Instinct, wrote Flashdance. But
really?
but what's really interesting to me about Flashdance is that was, so MTV went on the air in 1981. And when it started to catch on, the music video aesthetic took over. Flashdance is one of the first recognizable Hollywood blockbusters that owes its entire existence to MTV. And you know, another movie that you guys might look into is The Hunger.
I love The Hunger. I haven't shown her that one yet.
Oh, I would.
I was going to show her the did the Tom Hiddleston one with what's her name?
Only Lovers.
Is that
Only
is
Lovers
that
Left Alive.
like a spiritual sequel? To
Yeah,
that? Or
I
is that-
think it kind of
okay.
is. As a matter of fact,
Okay.
I mean, it would be great. Maybe even like we
Compare
talked about doing live shows. It would be those two movies. It would be really interesting to do a compare and contrast retrospective of those films, because The Hunger. The interesting thing about The Hunger is it's got that same aesthetic as Flashdance. They both came out within a couple of weeks of each other. And the thing is, The Hunger opens with Bauhaus and Peter Murphy singing Bela Lugosi's Dead, which is basically the goth Stairway to Heaven. You know, in a way, it really is. It's the goth Stairway to Heaven. And
Love that.
you know, and also I'll tell you guys a funny story. So I went to the Evergreen State College in Washington State. And I called it a crunchy, chewy granola, liberal arts. I mean, mid 80s. And the biggest student organization in the 80s was the LGBTQ Student Alliance, you know, and they threw the best parties. And my film teacher was a pretty renowned lesbian filmmaker named Barbara Hammer. And one of the things we had to do is we had to present something and then lecture about it. And so I made an hour-long tape of various scenes from science fiction, fantasy, and horror films from 1931 to 85. And one of the things I ended with was, in The Hunger, there's a very famous love scene between Susan Sarandon, who had been in Rocky Horror Picture Show, and Catherine Deneuve, one of the great French actresses of all time. And it's just one of the hottest things that's ever been put on film, I think. And Catherine Deneuve is seducing Susan Sarandon and bites her and turns her into a vampire. So I ended my tape with what was one of the last scenes, and it was an hour-long tape, and then I had to lecture about why did I chose to show everybody this. The lights come up in the lecture hall, and Barbara Hammer, knowing that I'm a straight white man, she is infuriated. This is my professor that I need to get absolutely infuriated that I included that love scene
Why?
between them. Well,
don't
she thought,
understand.
she's like going off about the male gaze and how it's just titillation. And I said, well, and I'm standing there, I mean, she didn't even let me speak. And the funny thing is I needed her approval. This was my junior year. I needed her approval for my senior project, which was going to be a short film I'd written, a half-an-hour short film. And I had got into USC. And I either had to have her approval and I would stay for my senior year and make a 30-minute short film, or I would bail and go to USC. And she hated my guts already. So I really admired her. I really liked her filmmaking. And she hated me because I taught aerobics and shit. And only because my roommate's girlfriend was an aerobics instructor and she asked us to join the class, which we did. So I was
cool.
Yeah, I was aerobicized out. So anyway, so she asks me, she goes, what was the point of this? And I said, well, in The Hunger, Marion Blaylock, who is thousands of years old, has taken many lovers over the years, both men and women. And gender doesn't matter to her. What she's looking for as an immortal is companionship. And she's found love with both men and women. And we've just seen her lover, David Bowie, die after they were together for 350 years. And she's now left alone. And she's found a person who just happens to be a woman that she feels that she can spend the next 300 years with. And she uses her power of seduction, because she's a vampire, to take a woman who is presumably, as we see in the movie, she's a straight woman with a boyfriend in a relationship, and there's no indication, and yet in this one scene she's completely overcome by the power of Marion Blaylock, and so the class gives me a rousing round of applause when I explained that, because I had my whole speech ready to give. Like, why did I choose to, and everything starting with Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein all the way up to The Hunger. There was one other clip after The Hunger, and I don't remember what it was, and that just made her. She hated me after that. Just hated me. The class, But the thing about The Hunger is, if you look at it now, it has that same kind of Flashdance aesthetic that all those Ridley Scott and Tony Scott, the brothers Scott, brought. Alan Parker brought, like his 1980 movie Fame, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, has that look to it. He had done Bugsy Malone before that, and then he went on to do like Mississippi Burning. But it was really, really great stuff. And The Hunger, a lot of people, if you look at it now, when it came out, a lot of people didn't get it. They didn't understand the quick cutting. They didn't understand these flash cuts to ancient Egypt. And a lot of people thought the movie was incomprehensible, or just, and you look at it now and you get everything, because it was relying on the music video aesthetic, where it would use quick cutting. Now everyone knows what it means. But back at the time, it was not a particularly well-reviewed movie. But it's a perfect example of that MTV aesthetic. And I've often thought of Flashdance and The Hunger as being two sides of the same coin. And it was sort of, it really, both of those films, if you watch them back to back, they really encapsulate a time,
That's great.
of 1983.
We should watch The Hunger. I mean, I haven't shown you that one
Yeah,
yet.
I mean, I'm so interested, because
it's really
this
good.
keeps happening. Is and I know this is not like a movie comment, but like, how on my stream it keeps coming up that book, Carmilla, the vampire book, on which
everything's based
that
off.
Dracula. Yeah, is that what The Hunger is based off of? Because it sounds.
No, The Hunger is actually based on a novel, The Hunger, by Whitley Strieber, who later gained some prominence for writing a book called Communion about actually meeting aliens. Which,
is that the walk-in movie that I love?
Yes.
Okay, I love that movie. It has one of my favorite alien scenes. It's just one shot. It's just this. He's sitting in a chair. He's in the cabin. He's just staring at this corner. That's that movie.
Okay.
And the alien head just peeks over the edge. As a kid, that creeped the hell out of me. And every night I always look at the corner of my room, and like the door frame, expecting that little rubber alien head to pop across it. And it still haunts me this day. So.
Did you ever see a movie called A Fire in the Sky?
Oh yes, one of my favorite FX sequences ever. Actually,
that scene
is one of the best. It's like Jurassic Park. I actually I think it's up with Jurassic Park when the T-Rex first comes out. The Fire in the Sky scene is just as good.
When they're in that ship, it's fucking terrifying.
So good. Old men aliens. They're like old men.
But yeah, it's
They look like old men. They're not really aliens.
so
They're really old
terrifying.
men that are holding you down and
Men's.
putting things in your eye. Yeah, the jelly in your eye. Yeah.
Rex Kramer has become a member of the channel. By the way, for those of you who are channel members, every other week we do member chats. There is a member chat tomorrow at 1:15 after Let's Get Physical Media. What we do for our member chats, people that are members, I hang out with. Sometimes one of them went on for 7 hours, where I just hang out with the members. They can ask questions and interact and whatever. We've got 1660 Samurai says hi from the old Twitch family. Love ya.
Wow.
So there you go.
All my viewers are
Twitch
here.
fans over here.
Thank you.
Thomas Logan said, I knew something was up with you and Dave Parker. Make peace with him, RMB. We need him back in the PGS ASAP. In fact, screenshot this super chat and text it to him. You know what, Thomas? I will. And Thomas, I have been remiss. Thomas won a 4K box set that is still sitting next to me, and I have not sent it to him, and I feel terrible.
Oh, aren't you sending us a 4K of what now? What was it?
What
Yeah.
is he?
Yeah. Rob had a
Was it
extra
Martin?
4K.
Was it Martin? I think it was Martin.
No.
Was it Martin?
It was a Cronenberg. I thought it was a Cronenberg thing.
Oh, yeah. You know what it is? It's right here. I have it. It is this.
Yes, Naked Lunch. Yes,
Oh,
she has not
yes.
seen that one.
Just so you know,
Weller.
it
Peter
came.
Weller.
It came like this. You gotta send it to me.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
This is the Arrow naked. By the way, I'm giving people a preview of what I'm going to show tomorrow on Let's Get
so
Physical
cool.
Media. Here's the box set. I don't know if you ever had Arrow. It does a great job. If you haven't seen Cronenberg, there's a lot of Cronenberg on the list. By the way, I think Rex Kramer in the chat was talking about The Shining and doing The
Ooh, I
Shining.
love The Shining.
But this, do you have any Arrow 4K discs?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I
Okay.
have like Tremors, which is weird, but
Yeah, it's this.
stuff like that.
Tremors is great. This just came out. I'll send this to you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
I will send it to you. Because that would be, I would die to hear what Lana thinks of.
no
very
idea
curious.
what that is.
It's got Peter
See?
Weller. It's all that matters.
Don't know
Yeah,
who
it's
that
all that matters.
Okay, RoboCop.
is. RoboCop. Got
Fucker.
that.
And it's based
Excellent.
on William Burroughs. So William Burroughs, the writer, wrote the book Naked Lunch, and in it, it's really all about drug addiction. and when I read the book in college, there was a really interesting concept that drug addicts have called the algebra of need. And when you're in the grips of addiction, everything you do is related back to how can I feed my addiction, and you use algebra, meaning not real math, but what kind of how do I justify the things I'm going to do in my real life or to the people that I love in order to make sure I get the drugs I need.
Right.
And
Interesting.
yeah,
I love that.
and Cronenberg. Have you seen Crash? Cronenberg's Crash.
He's
I
been
have. I've
trying
tried- it's not on
desperately
streaming
to get
anywhere.
a
I
copy of
cannot
Crash for
find a
me, and I've been
copy of
asking
Crash.
him for years.
Well, there is a boy, Elizabeth hates Crash, but I have 4 different versions of it in 4K.
Let's
Four
see it
different
more.
versions of
Now I'm
Crash.
very
but
intrigued.
it is Criterion put one out,
What's a
a
Criterion?
Blu-ray. But there are Arrow put out a great 4K version of it. So you
Oh, they
don't
did.
have.
Okay, well then we'll just go
There
right
you
in and
go.
buy it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Because why not?
yeah, I'd love
You're
to
gonna
hear-
love it.
We-
Yeah.
We get Crash. We can get The Hiker.
The Hitcher.
The Hitcher.
I wanted to show the Hitcher.
Hold off on that
Wow.
because Second Sight's doing a 4K and it's going to be
think-
glorious.
Okay, then I will hold off because
Okay. What's another 3 months or whatever?
Mhm. Yeah, we'll I'll be sending you this stuff. So
Yeah, but we I love that.
yeah.
But I mean, we do love The Shining. In fact, he just showed me Doctor Sleep like a couple months ago.
Yeah, it was good.
did you watch
Surprisingly
the
good.
long version? Did you watch the director's cut? Yeah,
Yeah, we watched the director's cut. Yeah.
I liked it too. Mike
Yeah,
Mike
surprising.
Flanagan's killing it, man. He's doing a lot of
Yeah.
great. Flanagan, he kills it. So
What was the difference between the long version and the regular release or whatever?
there's just more stuff. There's more
More stuff.
Rose the Hat. How hot is she? Love her.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
She's so good.
So good. Okay, so good. I'm caught up with super chats and all that. Dieter Bastian, my compatriot Dieter Bastian is in the stream. Dieter, I have a big. I didn't think I'd have a big stack for tomorrow. I have a big stack today. I don't know where it all came from. But yeah. So let me ask you this. So, I mean, these streams or the shows that you're making. Now that we've talked about, I mean, obviously, I just in this conversation, all the stuff that's come up, like The Hunger, like Crash. I would love.
I'm curious.
so
I'm really
excited
curious
for
to see
that.
you watch out.
I think Elizabeth and I did a
Everyone
whining
knows what
about.
that is, right?
Yeah, they
know? Okay.
it's
know.
and again, Crash is based on a J.G. Ballard book, and again, and there's another. J.G. Ballard also wrote the book High Rise. Did you ever see High Rise with Tom Hiddleston?
Oh yeah, that was newer. Yeah,
It's a newer movie.
Isn't
again,
that Cronenberg's son did that?
No,
Wrong?
Cronenberg's son didn't do that. It was done by the guy who did The Kill List.
Oh, that one. That's right, yeah.
But it's based on the same author who wrote Crash wrote High Rise.
Awesome.
And yeah, I loved High Rise. I thought it was great.
It's fun. It was
Yeah,
fun.
it was fun. And
we have a thing where we like James Spader. So again, we have a Spader.
Our Spader Day is actually on Tuesday.
Yeah, we have a Spader thing where we do Spader
an
films.
annual James Spader Day where we watch at least one film starring James.
Okay, I love you guys even more. I'm a huge fanatical James Spader fan, and there is no better movie to watch for Spader Day than Crash.
It really does sound like a great.
Crash is
perfect.
Crash is. Oh, he stars in it. Crash is peak Spader.
I'm sorry. Are you telling me that James Spader is in a bunch of sex scenes about car crashes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. Even a same sex scene. The same.
That's right.
Go on.
With Elias
wrong.
Koteas. Now, okay. Now, since you're Spader fans, I have to ask. One of my favorite Spader movies, and people laugh when I say this, is Tough Turf.
We watched it. I've seen it, and
I love Tough Turf. I love the scening.
Reviewed it on my letterbox.
Robert Downey Jr., Olivia Barish from Repo Man, and Kim Richards, Tia from Escape to Witch Mountain, and now one of the housewives of Beverly Hills.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we need to expand our trash repertoire.
Yeah,
come on, Tough Turf. So I had a friend
Tough Turf
in high school named Adam Carl, and he and I used to go to movies on Sundays, and we would pick out what we thought would be the worst movies that were playing.
Yeah,
and sometimes there were two movies that we saw that were easily the best. One was Night of the Comet, which fucking rules.
It's a really good movie, actually.
And Tough Turf. Okay. I fucking love Tough Turf.
I gave it 1 star.
She's putting her letterbox right now.
I know. I already reviewed it.
It was
how can you? Why do you hurt me like this?
But I hearted it because I liked it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an enjoyable 1 star.
I mean, it's
we
laughed
1 star in
a
a
lot
good way
during that film. In a good way. I mean, everything he did in that. I was saying my favorite scene is like he's playing piano. He plays a song in a golf club. What was that? Golf club?
We haunt the night or whatever.
Yeah.
While he's wearing a sweater.
Because
he's a properly bred East Coast upper crust kid whose family lost his money, so they moved to LA. His dad starts driving a cab, but he still has the cultured way of country club life. In Beverly Hills, it's the greatest shit ever.
It is brilliant.
Oh, it's called We Walk the Night. We walk the night. So I'm going to tell you a funny story about Tough Turf. So Tough Turf was not available on DVD. And there was a company called Anchor Bay Releasing, and they released a lot of cult titles in the early aughts. This is while I was working on Lord of the Rings, and they put up a list like, what do you want to see us release? And every morning for weeks, I went on everyone's computer and I visited the Anchor Bay website and I punched in Tough Turf, Tough Turf, Tough Turf. I did this, and what did they release? I have a giant French movie poster for Tough Turf.
Wow.
I love how much you love Tough Turf. This is amazing.
I love Tough Turf.
This is great.
I love Tough Turf.
I wish I could remember our detailed conversation after because we were talking about people who must like this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we liked it. We enjoyed it. I mean, we were done. We're like, okay, not the best movie if you were overall, but for us, we enjoyed the hell out of that.
Yeah, because it's fucking great. And do you want to hear something funny about that movie? It was directed by Fritz Kirsch, who directed the original Children of the Corn.
Oh, weird.
What?
That's an interesting. Okay.
You haven't seen Children of the Corn. You don't know who Malachi is.
I
She has some
have
good-
actually.
Have you?
Against your wishes, even.
Children of Corn, the first one,
It's not good.
I love the concept. I love the
It
idea.
wasn't good.
Kids are
I was
scary, but-
shocked.
Do you know
I
there's
waited
a
my whole
remake of
life
it?
to see this.
I heard that was pretty bad.
Kurt Wimmer, who made like Equilibrium, made it. It's not supposed to be good.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
Not a big fan of Equilibrium or what's the other one? Ultraviolet. Not a big fan
Ultra,
of it,
yep.
so
Yeah, I know.
I'll stay away from his stuff usually.
It's too bad.
Yeah.
Jason Webster says, very talented and charismatic. James Spader has the capacity to steal every scene in every film and television series in which he appears. Have you guys seen Jack's Back?
Yes, we have seen Jack's Back.
have?
That's the one with Rob Lowe, right? Or no, I'm thinking a different one.
No, Jack's Back's when James Spader plays two versions of himself.
No, we have not seen that then. No, we haven't
Okay,
seen
you
that
guys got
one.
to okay.
Okay, put it on the
The
list.
one,
What
okay,
is
the
that?
one with Rob
Okay.
Lowe with Bad Influence.
Bad Influence. I love
Bad Influence. That's some peak Spader. But you know what one of the greatest James Spader movies is? Now, here's the thing. If you really love James Spader, have you seen Dream Lover?
No.
No, I don't think we've seen that either.
Oh my God. Okay. Dream Lover Sex Lies and Videotape might be peak Spader. But Dream Lover is a movie, and the real sad part about it is that the director's cut that has 5 minutes of unbelievable sex scenes with him and Machen and Mick from Twin Peaks.
Oh.
It's only on because you've got to get the director's cut. I have the Laserdisc. I need to rip it and put it up online. But I don't even know if my Laserdisc player still works, but I need to do it. Dream Lover is, let's just say James Spader meets the girl of his dreams. Just watch the trailer. And you'll be like, "Oh my God, I have to see this right now." And it has the great William Shockley in it, who's the rapist in Paul Verhoeven's Showgirls.
Oh no.
Oh, and he says he has one of my favorite. He's talking about Machen and Mick's character to James Spader. James Spader's trying to figure out what's going on, and he's like, "Do you know my wife?" And he's like, "She did things to me I can't even pronounce."
Oh,
I thought that's one of my favorite lines ever.
that's amazing. If you don't know, you can't afford it.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah,
we've
all set now.
gone off on a Spader jag. You and I are,
I mean-
all of you, the two of you, I needed to meet you. It's too bad I didn't meet you 20 years ago, but you were like infants. So,
He was still a grown man. I was very young.
yeah, you were young.
Yeah. Him, no. It's right there with you.
And your heart was an open book. You used to say, live
Right.
and let live. You know you did. You know you did.
It's funny, because we're actually very close in age, I think, but his experience with anticipating movies at their first release and mine are completely different. Like we were driving back from, was it Evil Dead Rise? And we were talking about you looking for like movie posters in magazines.
Oh,
and was
how I
it-
used to be so
yeah.
hungry for movie, nerddom. Anything that's happening, I would, my mom's grocery shopping. I would go to the magazines aisle and I'd try and find any image of a movie like Independence Day or
Yeah,
something.
that's what it was.
And I pieced together the movie in my mind. I'd always be like, okay, so there's Will Smith walking in the desert. He's gonna be in the desert and he's gonna shoot the aliens down somehow. And then I'd see another magazine that has another still, because they always had like their own exclusive still,
Yeah.
to be. And you, as a kid, you just kind of piece it together and put the movie in your head. And you're so excited, you're like, it's gonna be the best thing ever. I did that for the Mario Brothers movie, which was my first ever disappointment in a movie theater. But those days I miss hunting for stuff. Like this day, it's like you look it up, I get all the footage, I got YouTube, I got
I see
the
so many
webpage.
trailers. I've seen the whole movie.
Yeah,
already.
I missed the hunt, if that makes sense.
No, I mean, dude, that's what we had to go get all that stuff. I spent most
Yeah.
of my life, doing that. I was the same way. And by the way, Seattle was one of the great places to grow up because per capita it had more movie theaters than any other city in the United States, and great theaters. I mean, unfortunately, the Cinerama Theater downtown is still closed.
Yeah.
And that theater, they remodeled it, and they're probably going to destroy it. And
It's unbelievable.
it's one of the greatest theaters ever. And the
Never
remodeling.
got to take her there. COVID happened. They took it down.
Yeah.
And I was like, son of a-
It's. I mean, that's why I saw Blade Runner noon opening day. I saw that theater. I saw the black hole there. I saw Arthur there.
Arthur,
no,
yes. You haven't seen Arthur yet.
No.
I saw
That one.
Altered States
Sounds bad.
there.
Ooh, I love Altered. That's the one I have to
Ooh.
show her because that's got that Fly vibe.
Yeah, Altered
right?
Altered States. And when you watch these movies, you're like, wow, boy, movies were, and of course, Enfant Terrible director Ken Russell directed that.
Yeah, Ken Russell, love him.
So good, such good stuff. By the way, Tom Jr. Jackson sends in a super chat, our own moderator, and says, "Great stream. I'm glad to see Lana and Alan again."
Oh, hi.
And then Thomas Logan says, "Tell him about Dave Parker's slasher gold, The Hills Run Red." Oh, you mean the movie I produced, Thomas?
Oh, nice segue.
I mean, come on, dude. Yeah, I mean, if you ever
But
watch,
if you insist.
if you ever
I
watch
have
The
not
Hill,
seen it.
okay, get the Scream Factory Blu-ray that came out in 2020 because it might just be the movie's 83 minutes, but there's 10 hours of special features on the Blu-ray.
Ooh,
10.
that's
10 hours. Because it was right when COVID broke out and they were going to release the film on Blu-ray, and I had shot on location. I'd shot 30 hours of video that really I'd never used. And then Dave went and did modern retrospective stuff, and then I went into all the tapes I shot on location in Bulgaria where we shot the movie, and all the interviews with the cast, which had never been used before, and put the special features on. And we were nominated for a Rondo Award for Best Special Features of the Year. Wow. So
very cool.
But no one could tell us no. So we just kept doing it. I mean, I don't even know what they thought. We just kept giving them footage, and they're like, "Oh, put it on the disc." I'm like, "Okay," but I mean, I had nothing to do. It was. I was in my garage, very similar to this garage, and I was working on Dota Dragon's Blood, and then cutting special features for the Hills Run Red disc. But I'm proud of it. That's why Dave and I got in a big fight. I was tired of him listening to say, I got nothing from this movie. Nothing happened in my career because I'm like, dude, the movie itself was its reward. You know, come on. And,
Did he watch the special features?
There you go.
I mean, he should. He should. I made special features about him.
Oh,
so,
it's like
yeah. And it was, Ghost, HG said Zack Snyder bodied Jeff Johns in a full circle event. Today was Snyder, or there was the
SnyderCon.
Yeah, SnyderCon. Yeah, I
looked
boy,
that up.
did Zack Snyder go after Jeff Johns? Ooh, I love it. I love it. Anyway, so
I don't know anything about that.
it's okay. You don't need to know. The Snyder Cut fans and Snyderverse, it's all
a whole nother world.
Yeah.
Whole nother world.
I think
stay
actually
away
I
from
saw it
free
was
time.
trending, and I asked Alan, I was like, "Can I do shit posts?" And he said, "No, don't do that."
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
No
Don't
shit
do that.
posting.
Let's not go
Don't-
there. Let's not go.
Okay.
Yeah, it's yeah. Let's not do that. No,
Okay.
let's not do that.
As my PR team, I trust you.
Yeah. I am your PR team now. Your
Really?
uncle Bobby.
Buckle
Okay.
up, buddy.
Your uncle Bobby's watching out for you. Oh no, bring it on. Whatever PR nightmare you are, I can't wait.
Alrighty.
Are you a PR nightmare? Do I not know about this?
I think I've explored most avenues by now. I don't think there's really anything I could do now that I haven't done before.
Really?
I have a few. Yeah.
I love hearing that. My kind of
Oh, yeah.
people. My kind of people. As Frankie Goes to Hollywood once sang, "I'll protect you from the hooded claw, keep the vampires from your door."
Ooh.
That's the beginning of The Power of Love, off their 1984 masterpiece album, "Welcome to the Pleasure Dome."
Beautiful.
you-
It sounds
thank
like
you
you're
for
about to
that.
put the record on right now and just start playing it for us. That was a perfect. It's like, it's like a
Feels
DJ, just like
fire.
here we go.
I know, right? That's crazy. I'm a big Trevor Horn fan, big Frankie Goes to Hollywood fan. So
Oh, interesting.
yeah,
I saw a question in the chat about a relationship.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sure.
And actually, I want to know
about
if
your
you
relationship.
remember. My relationship, ours, not with you. Sorry.
No, but about
Yeah.
that's what I mean about your.
Well,
I want
yes.
to know what's
Yeah,
the question.
so
What's the answer?
Rex had a question that said, "What was the first movie you remember seeing in a theater?" And I assume that means in a theater together.
Oh,
Yes, I always ask that question too. He beat me to it.
Oh,
What was our first one?
You
we
got.
saw
I want to
together?
see if you remember.
If I remember that first one we saw together. What was it? What'd you say?
Nothing.
Oh my gosh, the first one we saw in the theater together, Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Well, no.
No,
No.
It couldn't have been that.
Was it? I think it was.
It that?
It's the first
I
one we
think it
got
might-
back because
well,
I'm a Ghostbusters.
we
I'm a big
should
sci-fi
Just
comic
start at the
fan.
beginning. The
What?
first movie we saw in person. Because we remember we
Oh, in
dated
person?
online.
Yeah, you dated
for a
online. You told us
month.
about
Okay, you're thinking in person.
No.
Oh,
No. The question was correct. I'm just
Okay.
saying that wasn't the complete answer. Because there's a reason we saw Ghostbusters in theater. It was Ghostbusters
It
Afterlife.
was. I win. And
Wow.
And no one wins.
Or you both won.
Wow.
I think you both won.
Yes. It was a fun
In a
movie.
way.
It was fun.
You know,
Yeah.
I took a girl to a movie once called The Boys Next Door that was directed by
Ooh.
Penelope Spheris. It didn't go well. And
Oh,
if
no.
you,
What
if you look
happened?
up The Boys Next Door, I didn't know anything about it. I mean, I knew it was about serial killers, and Maxwell Caulfield was in it, and one of the Sheen brothers,
What could
and
go wrong?
everything went wrong. It was not good. If you know the movie, if you watch the trailer for The Boys Next Door, I should have known better. Yeah, it didn't go well. No second date there. No.
Yeah, I've had bad. I mean, my first worst date experience was when I was with a date back when I was a teenager. Saw The Sixth Sense, and as a nerd, I would constantly think, "What's the ending? What's the ending?"
God.
And we just sat down, and like the first 10 minutes, I just whispered in your ear,
Don't
I'm like,
no.
I bet he's dead.
You did. Why did you do that?
I don't know. It's
Oh,
an
that's
accident.
why you were a nerd, dude.
I was like, why'd I say that? And she's like, huh, interesting.
You don't get
Oh
to be
my
an
God.
imagination connoisseur. At
I
that
know,
point. You're
I-
just-
Yeah, man,
so
that's
bad.
that's
So bad.
so.
That was a
Don't ever
terrible
do that
thing to do.
again, man.
Yeah, I understand why.
You want to know what happens at the end of The Flash? No, I'm not going to tell you. That's why.
'cause you're
I've
not
s-
an asshole.
No. Charlie the Unicorn says, I took a girl to Gone Girl. Gone Girl's
Oh.
great.
That's a great date movie, I would think.
Well, date movie for me. Probably not for most people. I love that movie.
It's a great, that's peak Fincher. You know, I read that. That was a one sitting book for me.
yeah, me
yeah.
too.
Gillian
Me
Flynn,
too.
I think Stephen King, that was another book Stephen King said was great. And I ordered it from Amazon the day it came out. I cracked it open, and it was one I did what my roommate used to call super baths. And I read the first like couple of pages. I'm like, oh, it's time for a super bath. And I go in there with like 2-liter bottle of Diet Coke and a bag of lime and chili Tostitos.
Sorry, mine was a little bit different than that.
And I read the entire book. And you just keep adding. You get up to go to the bathroom, but you keep adding hot water, and
Yep, that's how you do it.
you don't get out until the book's done.
You know what's funny is I did that exact thing, but I was staying at someone else's house. But I also did a super bath and read all of Gone Girl. In that summer.
I couldn't do super baths at other people's houses. I'd be a little self-conscious.
It was that good.
It was that good.
It was.
It was so, that book was so, and it was so many twists. Like the movie did a really good job of recreating the twists of the book too. When it
yes,
changes over to her
absolutely.
perspective, you're like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
I know.
That's fantastic.
I even knew it was going to happen, but the way they did it was so immaculate.
It was
Sharp
great.
Objects was also very good. I didn't actually see like the televised or like the show
The which one?
series of Sharp
HBO?
Objects. Sharp Objects.
Oh yeah,
Gillian Flynn's,
she
next
she
one.
wrote that too.
But the book was excellent.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's funny because, you know, I read a lot, and there isn't many books anymore that really float my boat the way I used to. You know, finding things like Gone
Same.
Girl,
Yeah.
and
They're all
and,
these quippy dialogue, and they all sound just so the same.
and I think they are the same. I'm just having. I just
Yeah.
poured way too much wine in my glass, but that doesn't matter.
Oh no! What are you gonna do?
Drink it.
There you go.
gonna drink
problem solved.
But
That's the thing.
But yeah, I mean, it's interesting because to me, I don't know if this was the same for you. I'd go to the bookstore and I would scour the bookstore. I love genre literature, you know, whether it's science, horror was really, I love big operatic sci-fi space operas, but I also like hard science fiction. But I think my favorite genre of book to read was dark fantasy or horror, and or thrillers. You know, and I had a girlfriend once that, by the way, very much was like you, and she
I'm
would say, no, it was great, but she would always give me shit. She's like, why do you read so much fiction? You know, she criticized everything there was to criticize about me, but
That's what we have in common.
well, there you go. And I said because great fiction is someone who has to build truthfulness within untruth. And it's like anything. If you can make someone suspend disbelief, and great fiction you have to believe the story itself has to be truthful, even though it's all made up. And that to me, that I always talk about verisimilitude. That to me is the greatest sacrament you can have when you're creating narrative. Can you make movies are incredibly artificial. None of them are there's nothing in a movie that's real. You know, nothing. And what you have to do, every choice you make when you're making a film, you have to make the reality happen for the audience in every single shot. Every single shot for 90 minutes or 2 hours or 3 hours, depending on what you're doing. And it's incredibly difficult to do that. And that's where, you know, the word verisimilitude actually means the quality of being real. And can you do that? And it's really hard. And reading fiction, great fiction, if they can make you believe, well, that's the real magic trick. And there's not a lot of fiction anymore that I look for it all the time. You know, give me a story that sparks my imagination or makes me want to buy the book. And there isn't a lot.
It's incredibly hard to find right now. Yeah. I just read The Hellbound Heart for the first time.
Ooh.
I know.
What Hellraiser's based on? Have you seen Hellraiser?
Yes, I have. We named our dog Clive Barker.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, so we're big fans. Big fans. I think I read the book after we did that. Actually.
What did you think of the book?
Sexy. Weirdly sexy.
That's the first thing you said to me. Like, this book is.
What did I say?
Interesting. It's
I think I was reading you parts of it, which I never do normally.
I never read the book. I've just watched the movie over and over again.
Yeah, like he'd be in the middle of something like, "Hey, let me read you this paragraph," and it was just like, it was the coming apart of a person's actual anatomy, but it was done in such a way that was very illustrative and very poetic, and it was unnerving, I guess is a word that I would use. But he did it in such a romantic dialogue that was I had never seen before, and I was just like, ooh. And I mean, I guess when he wrote it too, he was not known. I mean, like his sexuality wasn't known to the public, but now that I know that,
he was a gay hustler. He was turning tricks.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, he was I love when Clive Barker came on the scene. He had written the books of blood. There were 6 books of blood that were short stories, and they were mind blowing. And then his first novel was called The Damnation Game, and the Hellbound Heart was a novella. And you know his concepts were wild, man. I mean, they were. I remember, you know, Stephen King had started talking about him early on, and he like, I've seen the face of horror, and his name is Clive Barker. And it was incredible to delve in. And he had, in the British hardcovers, which were the first editions of Books of Blood, he'd also painted the covers himself. And it was wild.
That's
man.
right. You told me that he was an artist, right?
Yeah. I interviewed him, unfortunately, for a documentary that Disney didn't let us finish. We were working on Chronicles of Narnia, of all things. I went to his house. He had 2 houses in the Hollywood Hills, one next to each other. And one of the houses was a gallery, pretty much, or where he painted. And that's where we interviewed him. He had these giant, just huge canvases I mean, his imagination is dark and twisted, but beautiful at the same time. I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of his work. And
you just gave me the side eye.
It was mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna start writing down the things that he says to me, because it sounds, and I'm not making a direct comparison, but I've been trying for so long to put into words what it's like to be next to this mind, because it is so darkly funny that you'll just spin up these entire narratives, and like he'll pitch me a whole entire movie based on a single concept, and they're all so dark and they make me feel terrible, to be quite honest with you, but it's so fascinating. I wish I had that example of the the kid who like goes to my stream after he makes shoes and everything. I'm sorry. Okay, anyway.
Wow.
Yes, I am dark in the heart.
Yes.
Very much.
I love that about you.
Okay.
Well, yeah, and
I'm glad you love my dark heart.
You should read. You should read more Clive Barker.
Yeah,
I
want to read more of that.
I tried. So I'm halfway through Nightbreed, Cabal. And and the beginning was so good. I mean, like right away you have a guy peeling his face off in public.
Yep.
And
have you seen the movie?
No, I haven't.
I've been waiting to
seen
show
the movie.
until
I've been
after
waiting
she
to finish
finishes.
the book.
movie.
But it's just taking me forever.
It's something.
The movie
I enjoy
is
parts of it.
And there's a game, right?
There's different. Yeah, the book. The movie is very problematic. So Clive Barker directed 3 movies. He directed Hellraiser, the first. He directed Nightbreed, and he also directed Lord of Illusions. That was based on the Harry D'Amour stories. And you've got, there's different versions of Nightbreed. The Cabal cut's probably the one. Yeah, Nightbreed's rough. It's a rough. I really loved Hellraiser, but both Nightbreed and Lord of Illusions are rough.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I've gotten so far as like Cabal is now known by his name, right? And they're like traveling around, and he's come back to life. And I saw the trailer for the streaming service Cabal or Nightbreed, and I was like, I can imagine this going, and it's like really long. I'm nervous. I'm nervous to watch it.
It's rough. Although David Cronenberg's in it.
It is.
Oh.
He plays a serial killer.
All right, I'm back in. Oh.
As long as we get to see him, it's always good.
Wow.
Yeah.
No.
But it's interesting. You should read A Magica and read the great.
Oh, I bought it. Yeah, I have it.
Oh, yeah, she bought it already. Okay.
That is a fucking crazy book. I mean,
I chose poorly.
We'll get to that one.
He chose poorly. That's the end of Last Crusade. Indiana Jones.
That's true.
Yeah.
Is that where I took it from? I don't even know what that is.
We've been watching Indiana Jones.
Boy, you're just as nerdy. It's your imagination connoisseurs par excellence.
Oh, thank you.
which is good. No, but so that's great. I mean, I don't mean to keep you here all night long.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, just what we're due.
But I mean, we do have to write our script for Battle Royale.
Yeah.
We do, which we aim to do tonight, and then revise tomorrow, and also film it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Get the edit started on Monday. Realize the mistakes we made Monday night, and refilm it.
And do reshooting.
Yeah, and that's
gonna
go.
Yeah.
We'll get better at this.
Thomas Logan says the worst date movie for me was David Lynch's Mulholland Drive. The girlfriend I was with told me 3 times during the movie, "I don't understand anything." I had to shush her. Wow, never shush a woman on a date, bro.
You never have to shush.
Never do that.
That is a choice. Yeah.
Wow.
I remember seeing that. What did you think of that?
Mulholland Drive?
Yeah.
So it's a David Lynch film. So you go in with a certain mindset. For me,
another very hot sapphic scene.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Oops. I liked it. I mean, I like David Lynch things. Although the one thing I still haven't seen Eraserhead, which is crazy. It's something that I know I should have seen that. I've seen enough of it in my mind. I pictured how the movie is, and I really should see it. And I think I want to see that with you when we do a David Lynch thing eventually, because that would be great. Because we haven't dug too much into that.
Wait, I just want to say that Gozerian in the chat says no one wants another Indiana Jones movie. They did show us an extended sequence from Dial of Destiny. It was pretty great.
Huh?
It felt very real Indiana Jones. So I'm looking forward to it. And Thomas Logan said that he dated for 4 years the girl he shushed.
Oh.
So okay.
Oh. Is that good or?
I don't know.
I don't know.
This is Kenny Crayley Jr. Has a question for all of us, for me, Lana, and Alan. Why do you think that the DC universe has been more successful on the small screen than the big screen in recent years? Now, okay, since it's Kenny Crayley Jr., that brings up something. Since he's here live in the chat, I would like to read a letter from Kenny Crayley Jr. And hang on, let me find it on this subject. If you guys want to answer, you can, but I think it's a good one. So let me find it. Okay, here it is. This is a letter that was written, as people know, on Robservations. I read letters from viewers. This letter is from Kenny Crayley Jr. And the subject is, Superman is great on TV. How do you fix Superman on film? Hello, Rob and members of the Post-Geek Singularity. I am back again with another letter, and I'm here to talk about my favorite comic book superhero of all time, the Man of Steel himself, Superman. Superman Clark Kent is my favorite superhero of all time. I love Christopher Reeve, and I love the first two classic Superman movies, Smallville and currently Superman and Lois, plus Superman in the DC animated universe. My problem with the recent Superman films in the modern era is I don't feel Superman the character, and they, Warner Brothers and DC Films, would not let Henry Cavill be Superman, whereas the CW network let Tyler Hoechlin be Superman, be that beacon of hope the world needs him to be. Also, the recent Superman films are too dark for my taste. I want a hopeful, bright, and optimistic Superman on film. And I hope the newer Superman film, Superman Legacy, gets back to that. Also, I want to see newer villains for Superman to go up against instead of using Lex Luthor and General Zod all the time. Superman's adventures in comic books are epic in scale, and his family is amazing. Plus, his supporting cast, some of the best in comic book history. The modern films have barely begun to scratch the surface of what Superman is and could be. Yes, the Snyderverse films of the DCEU has its fans, myself included, but I just want a new Superman film, and a film to make me fall in love with the character again, like Superman and Lois on TV has been, or Smallville was back in the day. Like Christopher Reeve once said, Superman is a friend. That's what people really need most. They don't need a strong arm or a vigilante force. America was founded on the virtues of a helping hand. That's the heart of Superman. The genuine love of people, and that you always know he's your friend. And I hope Superman Legacy, for the new DC universe James Gunn is setting up, will be a return to that hopeful, optimistic, and joyful version of Superman. Well, Rob, those are my thoughts. What are yours, and how would you fix Superman on film? Take care, Rob, and keep up the super amazing work. Sincerely, longtime watcher and listener, Kenny Crayley Jr. from Ohio. Well, thanks for that, Kenny. He's live here in the chat, and I want to thank you for that letter. And by the way, if you want to send letters to me, you can at our website. It's right there, postgeeksingularity.com. And now you can send letters to Lana and Alan as well.
Ooh.
So, and I will pass
wonderful.
those along. I will leave you to deal with those letters as you want to. But so, what do you think of Kenny's assertion that we need Superman to be more, to bring back the values of truth, justice, and the American way?
I agree with everything he said. I personally think that you watch TV and it's they do so well the part where he's Clark Kent so perfectly, and that's the stuff I love about Superman. It's actually Clark Kent. And when it comes to the action on TV, I don't know about you, but I'm just check out instantly whenever I see that on television. There's just there's obviously they don't have the money and the budget to pull it off to go epic. But then when you go to the theaters, you get the big, epic, awesome Zack Snyder, which I'm still not a fan of personally. I don't know. I'm not a huge Zack Snyder fan. I won't lie. But
I know why. No, I can tell you why.
Okay, go for it. Yeah.
I was a huge fan of Man of Steel. Here's the problem with Zack Snyder's. He has made the Wagner Ring of the Nibelung cycle version of Superman. The problem is there's no joy in it. Yeah. It's not fun, and it's not joyful. And Superman, if you watch Superman the movie with Christopher Reeve, Lana, have you seen that? 1978.
No, I haven't.
I haven't shown you. I love that.
Oh
movie.
my God, it's a great.
So good.
But there's a scene where Superman is being interviewed by Lois Lane at her impossibly expensive apartment in New York that she could never afford on a reporter's salary. But
Always a question.
it's flirtatious, it's funny, it's charming, and Superman's a fucking baller. He knows what's up. She's like asking him about X-ray vision, and she's like, "What color are my underpants?" And he's like, "Well, I can't see them because you're behind a lead planter, and I can't see through lead." And she's like, "Oh, that's interesting." And then later in the scene, she walks up and she gets up, and he goes, "Pink, pink." and see,
that reaction is what is not in a Zack Snyder film.
And that's and that's the thing about. Yes, it's fantastic. And when you meet,
That's hot and sweet.
because the thing about Superman is we all want to be Superman. There should be a certain joyfulness to the character. And I understand the operatic portentousness that Zack Snyder was going for. And I really love Man of Steel as a sci-fi first contact superhero movie. But my God, is it dour. I mean, it ends with this apocalyptic battle across Metropolis post 9/11 where thousands of people are getting exterminated. And there isn't joy in it as much as I might enjoy watching the film. And I think one of the things about Superman and Lois on the CW and on HBO Max is what's really interesting is Superman has 2 sons in that show. They've had kids, and all of his superpowers can't help him be a good father. And they have an ongoing obstacle that Superman has never had before, because he's always fighting villains and, like, you know, Mr. Mxyzptlk, he's magic and Superman can't defend against magic, or you have other Kryptonians, or you have Brainiac. But when he's trying to be a dad, here's the most powerful being on Earth. If his sons think he's a douche, there's nothing he can do. Like, come on, Dad. And that's what I think the genius of that show has been, is that how does Superman be a good father? And no matter, they gave him an obstacle that his superpowers cannot surmount. And I thought that was genius. They tried to do that on Superman Returns that I worked on, that Brian directed, Brian Singer directed.
Just thinking of that one. Yeah, I was thinking Superman Returns was an interesting take on it. I know a lot of people, my friends, obviously, where's the action?
Yeah.
There's not enough, except for that plane scene, I think was the one.
Which is great.
Which is great. Really well done. But the action was really lacking in that. But I love
Lana's like, what are you guys talking about?
I'm trying to think of all the well, actually, I'm really thinking of all the times I've seen that sort of I don't want to say replicated, but that same sort of inspiration, like Dexter trying to be a good dad, and Invincible trying to, like, try to
There's a lot of
balance
dad things lately
balance
in
your
media,
humanity with your superpowers, like in Invincible, the cartoon.
Yeah,
it's true.
Common theme.
Yeah.
Still a struggle that I enjoy watching, because I mean, I feel like that's reflective of all the kinds of things you have to deal with. You know, you can't be everything to everyone, and to have someone who's so powerful be vulnerable in that one very meaningful way is very interesting. So I'd like to see it. Yeah.
Well, Superman the movie, it's just a beautiful film. I mean, it's dated because it came out in 1978, but still, you know, there was the first big superhero movie that changed the whole, changed it all. So,
was it Donner? Was that Richard Donner?
Yeah, it was Richard Donner.
Okay. Did Donner do Lost Boys too?
He did.
Right?
Richard Donner directed. Oh no,
that also was flying.
Pardon me. Richard Donner produced The Lost Boys. Joel Schumacher directed it.
That's it. Okay. I was just thinking the flying connection.
Yes.
I don't know why in my head I was connected. You love Lost Boys.
Everyone else sees this, right? Like, this is
this is normal for most people.
Encyclopedias. Are you all like this?
You mean imagination connoisseurs?
Oh, they are. Yeah, we know.
Yeah, I mean, Alan and I are birds of a feather for sure.
I know. I already knew that. But to watch it live is...
It's so fun to be part. Again, just talking with you. I don't get to talk with anyone else who knows this
Usually
stuff.
He just directs it at me. He responds to me. I'm like, yes.
So it's very refreshing just talking with you and seeing other people understand the stuff and know more than me even. I love it. It's so cool.
Well, I mean, it's funny because to me, what was really interesting growing up, moving through all this stuff when it was new, it's fascinating because post Star Wars, the world changed. I mean, I use Star Wars as ground zero of the modern post-geek singularity, imagination connoisseur world that we live in, because nothing had ever been seen like that before. Nothing. I mean, the idea of creating a lived-in future, there was never a science fiction movie that created, I mean, Planet of the Apes maybe, but Star Wars changed everything. The world building, everything. And in the wake of Star Wars, so many, and at the same time, the rise of the slasher genre was also happening. I mean, you had things like Black Christmas earlier on, but it was
Ask me
really
to do a review for that because I love Black Christmas.
the original, right?
Yeah.
Oh, nothing.
Okay.
There's
The
a new
cured,
one. I
cured-
didn't know that existed.
Good.
No,
That's
no,
why
I'm
we
not
love
watching
you.
that.
Don't ever. I'm not going to ask you. I want. One of the things,
Sure.
like we already talked about stuff you could do. I mean, I would say surprise me. One of the things, one of the reasons that I loved when you contacted me and love having you both on this channel, what I want and what I would hope that the viewers get out of that is the exuberance that the two of you together, I think there's something about the fact that you're a couple, you're married, you have a certain energy together, you respect one another, you are making stuff together. That's exciting. And I think that exuberance and the love you have for one another comes through in the work you're doing. And I maybe that's too highfalutin or something, but to me, it's like when Elizabeth and I, and we'll bring it back, doing whining about movies, because now I actually have two microphones, so we can be technologically proficient. There's something to be said about that, and I think that joy of creation is something that I think you guys are going to do, and I want to be surprised too. I don't want to know necessarily. I want a day to come when you send me I don't want to know what you're reviewing.
We do have a surprise for you.
We do. That's right.
We do.
You do?
That's right. We already do.
We do.
Yeah.
I wonder if we're thinking of the same one.
I don't know. We have many.
Oh my
surprises.
God! Well, you're gonna have to send me your address so I can send you naked lunch.
Nice.
That's not a surprise. But wow, surprise! I love surprises.
Oh yeah.
Already working on it.
Ooh, I love that. Ron C says, "Hello, Rob. I myself was currently in Las Vegas for a wedding from the 21st to the 23rd. I couldn't stay for the weekday events. If so, I probably could have met the man, the legend, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Shots on me always next time." Well, you know what? I am never one to turn down a free drink. Ever. And if there's multiple shots, bring them on. It was great. I mean, Vegas was great. I love being in Vegas for CinemaCon. I loved going to Gary Beekler's Nerdrotics meetup. It was delightful. The people were wonderful. He has a great audience, and his wife is delightful. We talked music, and people think that there was something nefarious about me not showing up on. Here's the thing. I told some people my appearance on Friday Night Tights was really nebulous, like in terms of people said, but I don't remember ever getting a thing like, could you be on Friday Night Tights? Chris Gore told me to do it, but I had to leave. I had to leave Vegas, so they did it live from a studio on Friday, and I talked to them, and I would have come in remotely, but they couldn't because the software they were using didn't allow another person to come in remotely. Otherwise, I would have done it. I had a great time at that meetup, and I love Gary. I'm a huge fan of his, and he's been doing some really great work, like you guys are. He's doing a lot of work with his two editors, where he's making like these 15-minute videos, doing some deep dives into current entertainment politics that I think are really good. He's really stepping up the content on his channel. Some people think that's why there was no other reason I wasn't on Friday Night Tights. I mean, I did a stream with Az this morning. So,
It's a lot of streams. You're a busy guy.
Well, yeah. I mean,
it's impressive.
Well,
it's really impressive. I won't lie.
Well, it's really
you go
funny.
live like, wow, this guy.
Well, I mean, we're developing, Kevin Rubio and Mike Bodden are developing an animated series. We've acquired the rights to an animated book series that was written by a mother and daughter called The Geeky Fab Five. That's about 5 teenage girls that are really into STEM. They're kind of nerdy girls, and it's so funny that like 2 or 3 middle-aged dudes are trying to get this
Doing
made.
this.
But I thought it was a great thing, and because we desperately need to get people involved in STEM, especially not just girls but guys too, because this country's getting its ass handed to it because of our academics, and it's not good. Not good.
I think that we're renaming it or adding more things to it or something like that in the last year or so.
Well, I mean, it's so funny to me. Facts are facts. Education's math. They keep trying to Common Core math. Like, what the fuck? I mean, I remember when I was in elementary school in like the 5th grade, they had a new form of spelling that they taught us called morphographic spelling.
Oh, so
And-
take root words and
Yeah, morphographic spelling. Like, what is the first morphograph? It's con. What is the second morphograph? And it was so weird, but it did help me moving forward.
yeah.
So morphographic spelling, but Common Core math. I'm like, what is this?
I mean, I majored in morphology, so you're talking to either the
Oh.
very right or the very wrong person.
No, I think you're probably the right person. That's why you're on this channel.
I don't know the rest of STEM though.
It's okay.
Oh man, I sound like a
Only
connoisseur
morph I know
to
is
be sure.
Animorphs or whatever that book
Oh,
series as a
Animorphs
kid.
was so much
Animorphs
fun.
when I was a
I
kid.
grew up
Yeah,
with
there
that.
you go.
Those
And,
covers are some of my favorite covers ever created, I think. In any
You have
book.
both eyes in the front. How do you look behind you?
Yeah,
I'm gonna
well,
get that reference.
well, there you go. But so anyway, I mean, you guys have been here now for 2 hours.
Right.
So I loved this video you made for Evil Dead Rise. I'm going to put it up,
Thank
and you've left me a place to put a thing at the end,
We have.
which I've never done. I've never actually put. Do I have to slide something in
You
to
just
make
slide it. You have to eye
Yeah.
it to kind of get in the
Yeah.
center of the.
Yeah.
Now, did you set up that end so it's the exact duration?
Where you can put it. Yeah. Where you
Okay,
can-
good. So I'll just slide it and put it in. Okay, I'll do
Yeah.
that because
Yeah,
that's
You're probably gonna be sitting there
That's
futzing
what
with
they
your mouse
usually
to get
do.
it just right.
I'll
You guys
futz it.
totally
I'll
missed
futz
that
with it.
opportunity.
Okay.
But I loved it. I love that you did that. That was amazing.
Good. All right. So should we say goodbye to everyone? Because I don't want to sit here for 9 minutes in silence and then wave.
Did that happen before?
No. Just
Okay.
prevention.
Well, I'm I'm taking you guys full frame. So Lana, Alan, I want to thank you for being here, and I cannot thank you enough for bringing your amazing work onto this channel, and I look forward to you guys are so much fun to stream with. I think we should do some kind of a live stream that has a plot and a subject heading. So we talked about talking and comparing and contrasting Cronenberg's Dead
Yes,
Ringers with a
I
new
would love
series.
that.
I think I don't know. We'll call it something, and we'll make opening graphics and all that. And by the way, your thumbnails are just on point.
We didn't even talk about the thumbnail process. Oh yeah.
I make
yeah.
the thumbnails, but we do that.
Yeah, we do
They're
that.
great.
Thank you.
Your
Thank you.
thumbnails are great. So,
I'm in it.
but, yes, but I guess I would. Do you have any? Now that you're joining, by the way, I take no responsibility. You know, if you suddenly have a whole new fan base and a bunch of people that send you weird letters and stuff, I can't take responsibility for that.
Oh, I think I was going to give you partial credit, but.
Okay, well, I'll take partial- if
You
you're
love
gonna-
letters.
Okay,
Write us
good.
letters.
Yeah, send
Fun. I love
letters.
to talk to people.
Yeah.
And I would forward. So if you want to write them letters, you can do that. I would just say that here you go. Right down there, www.postgeeksingularity.com. And if you want to send letters to Lana and Alan, just put in the subject Lana and Alan. So
Seems to work.
there
Good
you
indicator.
go.
Yeah.
So we
Great.
know that
Well,
we can
thank
just
you.
forward them to you. I want to thank you both for being here and being on Robservations. I can't wait to see what you come up with. I can't wait to see your Battle Royale review. And I'm going to now drop this first Evil Dead Rise review on the channel, and you'll have your own playlist. This episode of Robservations will be the first thing on the Lana Yuen Reviews playlist. So it'll be on
So
the Robservations
exciting.
playlist, and yeah, so there you go. And I'll tell you something. Having been to Vegas now and gone to one of Gary's meetups, it's my dream to have an imagination connoisseur meetup and Seattle is my hometown, and I will be returning to see my mom and my sister. So it would, I've never been invited to the Emerald City Comic Con. What's up with that? God damn it.
Sounds personal.
I mean, yeah, it probably is. Somebody hated something I said about Star Trek Discovery. He's a, I mean, it's just crazy. But no, I got to come up there and we have to have a Seattle meetup. Have you guys gone to Seafair?
I actually have never been to Seafair.
What is that?
The jets just fly over whenever it happens.
Oh my God.
And that's all I know.
You guys have never seen the unlimited hydroplane races?
Never.
I'm just making things up now.
Okay, so in the first weekend of August, they have the Thunderboats or the unlimited hydroplane races on Lake Washington. These are boats that go 200 miles an hour across the water. Now,
Yes, it was pretty fast.
since I was a little kid, have been going to. I love the hydroplane races. If I got to hook this up, I can get passes to what they call the pits, where all the boats are, on race day, and then we walk down where there's a great bar on Lake Washington. We watch the races. We look at the boats, and I can't believe. You know what? This August, we're going to see the Thunderboats.
I love it. I'm in.
Oh yeah.
You need,
Let's see some Thunderboats.
Yeah, you need to come see the Thunderboats. And I'm
That's not like an invitation you can turn down. It really doesn't.
No, first of all, it's amazing. It's been happening in Seattle for decades. And that's when the Blue Angels do fly, obviously. But when you're on Lake Washington and watching them fly 50 feet above the water, it's insane. So we have to do that. Yeah.
First
I had
weekend
no
of
idea that was
August.
happening. So.
First week, it's the first Sunday. It's always the first Sunday in August.
Okay.
Okay.
So
done.
We'll block
We'll
that out.
see you there. Although we'll see you before that when you come visit your mom. We'll be there too.
Yeah. It'll all be good. Well, anyway, Lana, Alan, thanks for joining the channel. I love your work, and I'll put it up. I'll put the review up singularly now. Go up.
Sounds great. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
And,
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate you.
Good talking with you.
And thanks, Tom Jr. Jackson, for moderating this conversation, and everybody who supports the channel via super chats and tips and memberships. And for you members, after Dieter Bastian and I bask in the glory of whatever we bought this week, I got naked lunch, so no surprise there. We will have a member chat starting at 1:15 a.m. or pardon me, p.m. a.m. My God, no, 1:15 p.m. And it can only go for, 3 or 4 hours because I have to do a puppy stream after that. So thanks, everyone. And please give a warm round of applause to Lana and Alan.
See you later, guys.
I'll let you guys go. All right, everyone. What a great stream. I love these kids. They are amazing. And look, their work speaks for itself. And I hope you guys like it, and I hope you enjoy it. And let's see. Joey Hamilton says, Rob, do you play the daily box office game? I do not. What is that? Is there a daily box office game? I don't play it. JP Gotra. Oh, wait. This is a tough one. Gotrokikits? That's a good last name. I'm sorry. I just massacred it. JP says, I'm disappointed. I didn't detect any racism all evening. Gotta do better, Rob. There are thousands of Twitter users who have been let down. Yeah, I've never... Man, the stuff people say about me, I really don't understand it. I mean, if you look at the people that appear on this channel, I don't think that racism or transphobia or any phobia, like this is it. Look, we are in this channel, Imagination Connoisseurs. What do I say on every stream? Every person you meet has a story to tell. I mean, every person you meet, not just some people, not just the people you like. Every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear. And all you have to do is listen. That is the guiding philosophy of this channel. And I don't know why people come up and they seem to get a different message from that. I don't know if you watch this channel for any length of time. There's been all kinds of people here of all different persuasions. And you know what? We don't kink shame here. We everybody's invited. I'm just holding the door at the party. I'm not the doorman. I'm just opening the door saying, hey, come inside. Everybody's welcome. Because you know what? The more different kinds of people you have at your parties, the better the parties are. And I don't just believe that, I know that from experience. So yeah, I mean, anyway. Look, I'm very excited about having Lana and Alan on the channel. And I'm excited to have all the other creators, whether it's Lael Rockwell, whether it's Tom Jr. Jackson moderating, whether there's a lot of other people that are going to soon join the channel. I'm very excited about the future of this channel, and it's all because of you. You imagination connoisseurs, you members of this, the Post-Geek Singularity community. So, somebody says Twitter is shit-talking Battle Royale. Okay, that's dumb, because Battle Royale is fucking great. And you know what? I really look forward to what Lana is going to have to say about it and what Alan and her cook up for their Battle Royale review. So, on that note, I would say to everybody, I already said every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear. So I would say to this, thank you, Tom Jr. Jackson, for moderating. If you are a member of this channel, after I go off, I'm going to set up the link that you can follow in the community tab. And tomorrow at 1:15, we will have a member call. And remember, it's Sunday. Dieter Bastian and I are back. Your favorite German, my favorite German, all the way from Saarbrücken, Deutschland. He is going to be on the show. So, there you go. Jared Snyder wants to know if I'm going to appear in my bathrobe tomorrow. I actually do. I have a Star Trek bathrobe. I don't know. Do you want me to appear in my bathrobe? The problem with that is it's hot in here. I haven't, it's the weather's starting to change in the old Robservatory, and it's been hot. It's been very hot. So, anyway, on that note, Charlie the Unicorn says, send Lana and Alan letters. Yes, but don't send them your scripts. They don't want scripts. They want letters. And there you go. So, this was not a short show. This was still a two-hour plus Robservation show. It was good. So, everyone, I will see you tomorrow on Let's Get Physical Media at 11 o'clock. And I want to say thank you once again. Robservations was sponsored by The John Campea Show. Find The John Campea Show daily on YouTube and find the audio version wherever you get your podcasts.